to Raconteurs News.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. My name's Andy Young and we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. In fact, we've got a great week lined up for you. We've got Paul Webster on Thursday and he's got some new information, which I know everybody who listens to us regularly has heard Paul with his gas, water and electric are free. But now he's tackling something slightly different. He's going for the mortgages. So he's got some fascinating information to share with us all. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to Paul. It's been ages since we had him on the show. But how's you anyway, Jason?
I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. And I'll do a little bit of an appeal while we're here. I'm now at the stage where I'm ready to commence the private prosecutions against the police officers that smashed their way into my house. So if there's anybody out there that wants to assist me in this private prosecution against two coppers, as you've seen, if you can drop me an email, jason@raconteursnews.com. So that's anybody wants to help me with that would be spiffing, shall we say.
Well, I can help.
What lovely weather we've had, Andy.
Well, so they tell me, yeah, it was quite nice here from about 7 in the morning through till about 2 o'clock. And then all these white streaks came across the sky and now we can't see the sky anymore. So it's freezing cold and windy here. But anyway, that's enough of the weather. Tonight's pretty special because there's somebody I've been wanting to talk to on air for a long time, and a gentleman I've been talking to off the air for several weeks now, and we've had some fascinating conversations, and he's certainly opened my eyes on a few things. So without further ado, let's welcome to Raconteurs News, John Urwin. Good evening, John.
Can you still hear me, John?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear Andy.
Right, Andy, we just lost you there just for a second. I don't know, you just sort of froze. So if you just want to do that again, we didn't hear that.
Sorry about that. I don't know what went wrong there. I'm not muted. Welcome to Raconteurs News, John Urwin. Good evening, John.
Hi, Andy. How's things?
Hiya, John.
Hiya, Jason.
Yeah, very good, mate. So I think I've probably listened to every interview you've ever done on the radio, John. But something...
Never mind.
Sorry?
That's never mind.
But something we're going to do tonight that's a little bit different. You said that you're quite happy for the listeners to call in if they've got any questions and put the questions to you themselves.
Yeah, why not?
So if anybody's got a question for John on any of his subjects, if they'd like to call me, if you just get on Andy_Young_Skype, and you can call me on Skype there, and we'll add you to the call, and you can put your questions to John yourself. I know we've got quite a few listeners with questions lined up for John, but where would you like to kick us off, John? Do you want to just...
Anywhere you like.
I was about giving us a bit of a brief background of yourself and where you're coming from, what you've been doing, and give us a brief biography of who John Urwin is.
Well, I was, as you know, I'm a Geordie. I was bred and born in Newcastle, and when I left school at 14. I got a job on the farm. That was my first job. From there, I wanted to be a mechanic. Went into the garage, found I was just being a grease monkey, and I wasn't going to get anywhere. So when National Service called us up, my mum actually told us it would be a good idea if I went in. So I did that because I had a choice, because being in a trade, I didn't have to go in, you know. So anyway, I ended up in the armed forces. I wanted to be in the Army, and they sent us off to ordinary working regiment because there were short of people there.
Right, so you wanted to go at Remy, Royal Engineers, that, innit?
That's right, yeah.
Royal, electrical and mechanical engineers, yeah.
That's correct.
So you're saying it's national service time, so what sort of year are we looking at here?
Late 57.
Right, okay, 1957. Okay, sorry to have interrupted. You carry on.
No, it's okay. So anyway, I ended up in this working regiment. ended up in North Wales doing my basic training. During that basic training, I used to go down to the gym every night because I've never drank. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So I used to go down to the gym with all the lads at the napping, you see. And I was always on my own. One particular night, I was, as I was doing practicing gymnasts, I was approached by a Geordie sergeant, would you believe it? He got talking to us. Anyway, to cut a long story short, he said that, would I like to do something different to what I was in now? I said, yeah, of course, something more exciting. He said, yeah. So I said, yeah, I would like to do that. But, what is it? He said, well, I can't tell you at the moment, but somewhere after your training, you're going to be approached, and we don't know exactly when. So be prepared for it. How can I put it? There was an emergency in the Middle East, and at least 3,000 troops left in one night to go to the Middle East. That was Lebanon, Beirut, and that area.
What year is this?
This is late 57.
Right, so we're still in 57. Okay.
Still in 57, yeah. On the way there, I was supposed to go to Lebanon. And on the way there, our plane had problems with the engine. The engines failed, and we landed at Malta. When we got to Malta, I was with three of the lads, and they changed our flight. They said, "Oh, I'm going to Cyprus instead." I didn't know what was happening. I was just a young lad. I don't forget, I've never seen a television set, let alone understand the Middle East. I had no idea where I was going. I was totally naive to what was actually going on in the Middle East. So anyway, I ended up in Cyprus. So the first week or so, 2 weeks, we were actually building our own camp because we didn't have one. We just went in the middle of nowhere and we had to build our own camp. So after the first week, we were told we could go down to the beach. When I went down to the beach, we had to go in threes. We always had to carry a rifle with us. So I sat on the beach with a rifle when my two pals went swimming. It was during this time I was approached then. I had forgot all about the contact in Wales, North Wales, Wrexham. And this guy, when he approached us, said, okay, can you remember the contact you had in North Wales? And I hesitated. Then I realized, I said, oh, yes, I do remember. So, what's up? And he said again, would I be interested in do something more exciting, more risky? And I said yes. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I ended up in an officer's mess, serving officers, and I thought that was, the thing that they were talking about. But anyway, after a short period of time in the officer's mess, I was called out on patrol, and then I met up with a group of people called the 16. So, but if anybody wants to, I think we need to get people to read the book. My whole story's in there, telling you everything that happened to me when I was approached by these people, a secret organisation only known to themselves as the 16.
So did you, these people that approached you, did you recognise them before, and have you seen them since?
I haven't seen them since. It was a secret organisation that was built up by taking people from different regiments on Cyprus and training, but they had been training. They had been established long way before I went in. Apparently, someone was missing. I don't know why he was missing, but they needed there were 16 of them, but one of them was no longer there. So whatever happened to that chap, I have no idea. I took his place. I was known as 16, number 16. From then on, I was trained in special skills, combat skills. That's not known anywhere, even today. That's why SAS people have been trying to get these skills from me, and I've got I've had them up here. I've got contracts up in which I refused to sign. I just needed the credibility. The fact that they came up here wanting these skills meant that they didn't have these skills. And I was after that sort of credibility. So anyway, from then on, I was training in through the mountains with these people. And I went through some weird programs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I think it's a long story.
Yeah.
I think people should get the book if they can. And, you know, otherwise I'll be spoiling the story, you see, whoever gets the book. Well, they can get it through Andy. Andy will give them all the information they need in regards to buying the book.
Right, okay.
Yeah, what we'll do when we post the podcast on the website, we'll put all the details there on how you can contact John, because there are people selling this a book called The 16 that has got some of what John wrote in there, but it's not the full story. It hasn't been done the way John wanted it to be done, and unfortunately he's not getting any of the royalties off that, if anybody is selling any, but they swear blind they're not. So if you contact John directly, I've got a couple of copies of the book myself. I've given one to a couple of friends, and it's a top quality book. It's printed all on lovely glossy paper, and it's a real good read. I mean, I couldn't put it down once I got hold of it. So yeah, I'd recommend. It's quite an education to read that book. And on the subject of the 16, John, we've already got a question come in from Mithrin in the chat room. And he says, when appropriate, can you ask John, does he think that there is a 16 active today?
I don't think so.
No.
The reason being is that the people that's running the country now wouldn't be running the country, put it that way. Do you understand? It wouldn't be allowed. Do you understand? There'll be quite a few accidents. So
Yeah.
Suicides taking place.
Yeah, well, essentially the people that are running it now are a bunch of treasonous scum.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
I don't know how far to go in your programs. So.
We say it like it is, John.
Okay.
Yeah, so how's your life gone since you left the 16, John?
Well, when I left the 16, I was quiet about it. If you think my background was ideal because I only spent 5 years at school. I was brought up during the war. Mm-hmm. So I'm not an educated guy. Really, I haven't got any background at all, really. And this is ideal. So who the hell's going to believe what I have to say? You know, that I went through all that specialized training. This is why, how can I put it? So I needed some kind of proof of what I did. Okay? So this is why I wrote the book in the first place. So certain people got their hands on the book. And it was a big company called Britain. It's one of the top security companies in Britain. They sent for me and they said, these skills you've got, can we put them through the test? I said, yeah, okay. Any test you want, you see? So they sent us down to Hereford, to their gym, SES gym, where I met up with, I'll not mention names, captains in the SES. There was the top instructor was there. They put us through a test. I insulted them in such a way where, what I mean by that is, everything they were showing me how to train men, I pulled at the bits, literally. They were shocked. This particular major stopped what I was doing, said they hadn't much time, where you recommended to Britain that they must take this on. And he said, I'll have to go up and see John up in Newcastle. We'll have to go further with this. Mm-hmm. mainly because he didn't want anyone else. There was policemen there, there was other officers there, and they didn't want me to go any further because they didn't. I think the plan was for him to meet the teachers, some of his men, and then his men teach the SAS. You see, I think that was the plan at the time. So anyway, they came up here. I've got photographs of them up here, and they signed a contract. They made a contract. They wanted me to sign it, and then when I got the contract, I turned them down. And the reason why I turned them down because, you know, the SAS. If you want to know any of the secrets, you'll find them on YouTube, which is true.
Yeah.
So I'd say again, the art of self-defense is the element of surprise. The SAS has never had that. If they learned the skills that I've got, that's exactly where they would end up. They would end up on YouTube, or they'd be teaching the enemy, whoever they are. You see, they would just commercialise it. So, but as long as I've got the contract, I've still got the contract, by the way. I've got all that email that they sent us to prove that what I had, they didn't have, and they were dying to get their hands on it. So that's added to my credibility. Later on, I got an email from Egypt, Special Forces in Egypt, known as the 37s, in Nassau City. They asked me if I would come over. They wanted to see me. So I did. I went over to see them. They paid for everything. When I got there, they told me that they had found a body on the side of the Nile in uniform still, or what was left of the uniform, with fingers missing on the right hand. Of course, I'd read the book. They know I was in their country. They know we assassinated a Russian scientist right in the heart of Egypt, right in the middle of Cairo, and we made it look like suicide. All of that's in the book, how it was done and how we made it look like suicide. And when I was in Egypt, I showed them how to get out of various different scenarios, like hostage taking. At the end, I couldn't show it. At the end, I got a medal off them. I got a scroll, and the copy of that scroll is in the book, saying I was the best counter-terrorist expert in the world, signed by their majors.
Were you still in the military at this point?
No, this is only 4 years ago.
Right. Okay. So,
How
long was your military career in total?
Well, I was in here 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very long. You didn't have a very long.
Well, it's actually just under that because it was actually a national service thing. They wanted me to sign on for 7 years, but right. when national see, you've got to understand, the unit was put together, and it was put together secretly without the British government knowing about it, right? Because the British government to us was the enemy even at that time. So you've got to understand, the only way they could operate was to take people from various different regiments, and they were either working regiments, you see. That way they could come out of a unit, go somewhere, like on detail, and nobody would know. They could cover up where they went. Do you understand?
Uh-huh.
So if I went to another regiment to do some work there, I wouldn't turn up. But as long as the regiment I was with, in other words, when they sent me off in the mornings, as far as they're concerned, once I left the gate, they weren't interested in me at all. As long as I came back on the day I was supposed to come back, you see. So all this was covered up by top military brass, on that island. So there must have been quite a few involved to be able to do what they did, So anyway, the whole story is in the books. They'll get to know exactly how we did it, why we did it. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I was taught the skills is not known anywhere in the world, not to any martial arts, anything like that. And this is what impressed the military in Egypt as well as the SAS, you see. So the only reason why I went to Egypt when they asked me, because I knew I was taking a big risk, After all, I did kill people in their country. And they said I was a very brave man for coming. And I had a bit of a joke with them. I said, "You're a very brave man for letting me in here." Because all that top brass was sitting there right in front of us, you know. And I really meant to say, "You're very stupid for bringing me in here." And I didn't. I said, "I thought you were very brave for allowing me in here." after what I just showed them, see. Anyway, like I said, I only went there because I needed that credibility. I needed evidence. That's what the book is. The book is evidence that what I did actually took place. So my first operation was called First Blood, if you like, was done in Trudis Mountains, where we killed some terrorist Greek terrorists, Yoka terrorists. And prior to us searching the caves, I come across a dog that had puppies, but I didn't know it had puppies. It's explained in the book. The dog was like a cave that had fallen down inside. There was a big heap of rocks and that. Anyway, this dog appeared on the top and saw me and came tearing down after us. You know, it was like a mountain dog. And I killed it. And when I killed the damn thing, I heard some noises, yelping noises, and when I climbed at the top of this pile of stones, I saw it had two puppies, and that's why it was attacking us. So anyway, after we got rid of these Greek terrorists, that we bumped them off, so to speak, I went back and got the puppies. You see, which I'm really not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to take puppies in the camp. But there's a picture of me with the two puppies in the camp in the book. So that's more evidence that, you know, that it actually took place.
So, but that time place. So we're talking about Egypt. So it's not very long ago.
Yeah, that was actually Cyprus. That bit.
Oh, sorry, Cyprus. But we're not talking very long ago, are we?
Well, you're talking about 60 years ago.
All right.
You're talking about 90.
I'm getting confused between Egypt, which we were talking about, which only happened.
No. Yeah, Egypt only happened a few years ago.
Right, the Cyprus thing happened 60 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were only in the military for sort of 3 years. How did your life pan out after that? After you got out of the military and you got back into sort of Civvy Street, how did things pan out there?
Well, unless you know exactly what took place when I was with the 16, how they changed. Well, when I say changed, I went in as a young man who was not educated, hadn't seen much of life, hadn't seen a television set, so I had no idea what was going on in the world. When I got to Cyprus, I had no idea of the area. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't tell you where Cyprus was. But after the training, they turned me into a totally different person. I went through a program called the One Step Beyond. It's where they can. This is where it sounds incredible. I did what would take a normal person maybe a couple of years or more to learn the combat skills and other skills. I learned it in 3 days through this program. Again, I don't want to spoil the book for other people. If you want to know how that was done and why it was done, it's all explained in the book. And that's why it was called the One Step Beyond. The only thing I can say is this: the program that they put us through was highly dangerous. They had already lost at least 2 guys prior to that, putting them through this program. One actually burst into flames, into blue flames, combustion. And the other guy just died. And how can I put this? He was alive, his heart was beating, his brain was working, but he didn't have a soul. He was dead. Mm. This is explained in the book, by the way.
Yeah. It was. It's quite It's quite a story, that program that you went through, and some of the stuff you've talked to me about, John, is just mind blowing. One of the things you did say is that you'd be interested to talk about is who we really are and why we're here.
Yes. Again, I think the best way to do it is, if you look at the human being and you've got to ask why we're here as human beings, I think we've got to start at we only live for a very short period of time. I think the longest we used to live was up to 150. This was talking about thousands of years ago. And that's been reduced now to between, 70, maybe 110 maximum, you see. And the object, the exercise is there, is the longer you live, there was a film called In Time. I think if people watch that film, they'll find that you might have a perfect body, nothing wrong with it. You could live for hundreds of years, but the mind can't take it. You see, there'll be no tomorrow. There's nothing to look forward to. It's like rich people who've got all these cars, all these women. They don't live very long. You know, none of them commit suicide because there is no tomorrow, you see. There's got to be an interest. There's got to be a challenge. And that disappears after a long period of time. If you ask most old people now, they just want to die. Do you understand? Most people do when they reach the age of 80 and 90. They just said, no matter what you ask them in regards, would you like to do this? I would say, well, I can't be bothered. Because they've done it before. There's nothing left in life for them, do you see?
Is that not just a symptom of the system that we're living in at the moment, that by the time people get to sort of that age, that their body is so knackered from all the work that they've had to do?
No. Even if your body was absolutely perfect, the body can live a lot longer than what we're doing now, but it's just not meant to. It's designed that way. We're just meant to live a certain period of time to experience life. That's exactly, it's hard to explain that. Life, well alive, you see. When you're dead, you're dead. It's as simple as that. But when you do come back, I don't really go into this because I'll be bringing real problems to myself by the elite, because that's what they search for. They're searching for eternal life, you see. That's their main goal. I think they've already done that. I think they're in a position to do that now. And this is why we're always on about getting rid of white people. They've got to get rid of white people. And there's a very, very good reason for that, which I can't explain over the airways. But it goes very, very deep. And it's all got to do with life. It's got nothing to do with controlling the world. Controlling the world enables them to accomplish what they're trying to do, that's all. But the main objective is to live, to control life, to be able to come and go when they feel like it. You see, that's the main object of the exercise. But they have to control all governments and they have to control the world to enable them to do that. You see, this is why they're always on about getting rid of white people. There's a very good reason for that. But I can't tell you over the airways.
So would you say? So what you're saying is that we're specifically designed to last for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, it depends on your genetic makeup. Depending
on your genetic makeup. But with the advances and things that are going on at the moment, really, the only way that you could get eternal life is if you could harvest the consciousness, what people might call the soul. And then transfer it to another vessel.
That's exactly what they're doing now.
Right. So,
but they can only do it. Again, I don't want to go. You don't want to go into it too much. The only thing I can say is this: it's got something to do with whites, right? It's a certain DNA, and this is why they've got to get rid of you now. They've got to get rid of us over the next few years. It's very important that they're going to get rid of white people. And if you listen, that's all I ever say. Got to get rid of whites. But like I said, there's a very, very good reason for that. And I can't explain it over the airways. It's just, it's more than my life's worth.
So what you're saying is that it's they've got to get rid of whites.
Yeah.
But you can't tell us why.
I can't tell you why. You can
see where people might be thinking, well, you know.
Well, people, you see again, okay, the average person out there, this is going to sound really terrible. They're not that important. They don't need to know. It wouldn't be right to tell them, you see, really, because the areas you're going into now is we were built and designed in this way to live on this planet. You see, now this planet itself is built. It's everything on the planet eats each other. Everything. You see, so we eat plants which are alive. The plants eat things. The animals eat the fish. Eat the fish. We eat animals. Everything eats each other on the planet. It's designed that way. That's what makes it work. If they didn't eat each other, it wouldn't work. Do you understand? Even the planet itself kills in the sense that not deliberately. It's because of the way it's built. With earthquakes and floods and you name it. But you see, people don't look at life, look at nature. They don't look at nature, and this is why George Bush, the father, he said they want a new world order, and we'll make sure that these are not the exact words he uses, but he said not the law of the jungle. He doesn't want you to live by the law of the jungle. You see, he doesn't want you to know about that because he doesn't want you to understand how life works and why it works in the way it is. You see, so it's all got to do with, like I said, everything on the planet kills each other. Everything. We're meant to do that. Now, whether people like that or not, I couldn't give a damn. But that's the way things are. You see, we will go on killing to protect ourselves, to live. If we want to eat, we've got to kill something, even if it's a plant. The plant is alive, it eats, it drinks, it needs oxygen like we do, but we kill it. Just because it doesn't squeal and run about doesn't mean it's not alive, because it is. It's alive. Everything on the planet destroys itself. That's what the planet's designed for. We couldn't live otherwise. There couldn't be life otherwise, you see. Life cannot exist unless you do that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, all you would do is overrun whatever it is you've got till there's nothing left anyway. You still destroy it eventually by overbreeding or whatever. But I mean, how are you going to do that? Your body is a biological and chemical machine. That's what it is. Right? And this is why when we're going to when they're talking about going to the moon, well, it's the biggest load of rubbish. And I can understand that. They say, well, why would they want to convince us that they've gone to the moon or they've gone in space? That's not possible. It's just impossible. And what is really weird is this. People don't know what they are. They have no concept of what they really are. What you really are, you are a biological and chemical machine. And this is how it works. You have a thing called blood pressure. That blood pressure is controlled by your heart. It pumps the blood to equalize the pressure that's around you. You see, by air pressure that's around you. You're surrounded by a lot of air pressure. That's why if you get a steel can and you empty it, if you take the air out, it goes a vacuum, the steel can crushes. It crushes because of the atmosphere around it. If you empty that tin can or steel can. You see? So your body's like that. So wait a minute. When you go up in an aeroplane and you get to 35,000 feet, they have to pressurize the cabin. Otherwise you explode, mate. You just blew up. That's why they pressurize the cabin. You see? And besides that, the body is so sensitive in every way. This is, like I say, this is why if your blood pressure goes too high or too low, you can be in serious trouble, you see. And then there's the other thing you've got to look at. The main important thing of the human body, right? Now, I'm not a doctor, but I am an expert in the body because I had to destroy it. The body has a certain amount of electricity in it, 200 and something volts. I don't know exact. Where do you think you get that electricity from? Do you plug yourself in at night, or do you stick a battery on your back? Where do you think the electricity comes from? Any idea?
Well, it obviously comes from your food and your movements and you're generating. It's all interconnected, obviously.
I know, but you don't know how, do you? You're only guessing.
Well, but everything. If you said to somebody, how do you get electricity? I mean, you know.
Yeah, you make a generator.
Most people are guessing, aren't they? I mean,
well, I'm not guessing. I'm going to tell you. I'm not guessing. I want to tell you how it does it. You see, when you eat food, your body produces molecules. Them molecules built around your body. And just outside of your body, you're surrounded by the Earth's energy field, magnetic and energy fields, right? And when your body produces the molecules, and the molecules go around your body, it generates electricity in your body. That's where you get it from. So if you think for one moment that you can get into a rocket and leave this planet, you're sadly mistaken. The second you leave this planet and get anywhere outside the Earth's atmosphere, your body ends up like a prune. Your heart stops, everything stops, your battery goes flat. It's got less than a day to go flat in. And that's exactly what happens. So all this rubbish about going to space is actually bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
When you talk about molecules generated, I think when you're talking about electricity, I think really you need to go a little step further and just call it energy rather than electricity, because electricity is a specific
it's electricity.
kind of energy.
Listen, your body can light the bulb up.
Well, absolutely, I know that, but that's
electricity.
But that's energy being converted into electricity.
Exactly, but that's what makes you tick.
But it's like the guy who's got the dynamo, who's on the cycle.
I know, but
it's his energy.
I know that, but what's that got to do with anybody leaving the planet? Once you leave the planet, your battery goes flat. You have no energy. That energy cannot be created because you're not here anymore. The only way it can be created is be bound on this planet. That's why you've got gravity, and that's why you've got air, and that's all of these things is what makes you tick. We were built and designed to be able to live on this planet. That's why when you go down the deep oceans, you need protection. You need more oxygen. If you just move from one part of the country to the other, you can end up with pneumonia, flu, God knows what else, and a million other diseases, or colds or whatever. You're just a biological and chemical machine. You can't go anywhere. You can't leave this planet. So all this rubbish about going to the moon and Mars, or a planet to go to Mars, that's absolute rubbish. No, I should know. When I say I've been there, I don't mean I've been to planets. I mean, I was trained in it. I've seen it. I've watched it happen. I've seen it done. I've seen how it's worked. So I know exactly what the elite are after, which I cannot say over the airways because it's worth more than my life's worth. And then unfortunately people are going to be angry because that, well, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant whether people are angry or not, because it's not going to get them anywhere. And if they did know, all it's going to get them into more serious trouble. But again, your body is so sensitive. It's the slightest change in atmosphere. Your body's in serious trouble. You're going to come down with something. So again, this body can't go anywhere. Can you remember when they used to show those silly films where a guy was in a rocket and his face was being pulled back, stretched, because he's supposed to be leaving the Earth's gravity? What happened to that? It doesn't seem to happen anymore for some reason. Listen, man, the whole thing they're just taking a mickey. None of these things are taking place. that's hard to accept. I can understand people. They've been brought up in this world, and people actually believe this sort of thing. They believe there's a God, for instance. They believe that when some religious people were asking me about God, I said, well, let's ask. Can I ask you some questions on God? And they said, okay. I said, did God make the world? And they said, yes. I said, why? And they couldn't answer it. I said, okay, we'll accept that God made the world. Then he put people on it. And he said, yes. I said, why did he put people on it? For what reason would you want to put people on it? And they couldn't answer that neither. So I said, okay, we'll accept that he put people on it. Then he gave them free will. Is that right? And they said, yes, he gave them free will. I said, well, why is it that the second they start doing what they wanted to do with his free will, he started to curse them, drown them, bring plagues on them, right? Punish them, send them to hell, right? So what people are actually worshipping here is an invisible man who's a psychopath, who's a lunatic. I mean, come on. If they've got you believing in that, then you've got a real problem in your hands.
Right. I tell you what, John. I tell you what. Now I don't know whether they went to the moon or went to space or went anywhere. But the fundamental problem with what you're saying to me is that
there's not a problem with that at all. It's straightforward.
Well, I'm just going to explain to you.
Yeah.
What my perspective is that you're right. We can't live off this planet. We cannot live off this planet. What we have to do is we have to be. And I am not saying that there's any spaceships or anything. I've never ever. I've got no opinion on that whatsoever. But what I'm saying is that what we do is we recreate our environment in a small capsule, which is protected from the outside environment. I agree with you. We cannot be anywhere near the environment of this planet. But what we do is we recreate the environment that's on our planet, and we put it in a small capsule, and then we go and explore space. That
cannot work. It never worked in a million years.
Well, that's what we do. Well, that's what we said.
No, you're doing. They're doing. You have no proof of that whatsoever.
No, I said no. That's what they. That's what if you go to NASA and whatever. That's what they'll claim. That's what they happen. The space shuttle is essentially recreating the environment they're used to, that their body's used to, and it's a capsule that's going into an environment.
No, it can't even do that. The capsule can't even do that.
Okay, why not?
Well, let's explain. It needs to be approached in such a way where you're starting from the beginning, that then as you go through the story, it adds up as you're going along. You can't just take a piece of it and try and explain it. The problem which lies there is this. If you say, we'll take the moon, for instance, right? This is what they tell you. Now, don't forget, for the last 2,500 years, everything you know has been put there by them. Everything. There's not a thing that's in your head that wasn't put there by the elite, if that's what you want to call them, for the last 2,500 years.
Right.
This is where God came from 2,500 years ago. It was all invented then. But listen, the moon, they try and tell you that the moon makes the high tides and low tides. Right? Now, they're trying to tell you that 5% of gravity that's on the moon, or 6% of gravity that's supposed to be on the moon, can move our vast oceans, that's 5 miles deep, and cause tides. Tides rise quite a few feet, 13 feet, 20 feet in places. But it cannot do that in the Mediterranean for some reason. The Mediterranean has got a tide. Neither's the big lakes. Neither the big, like the Dead Sea. They haven't got tides. But apparently it can move the vast oceans, but it cannot move these small little ponds. It's quite strange, that, isn't it? But wait a minute. So if they've got gravity that can override 94% of the Earth's gravity, can override it now, this 6% must override the Earth's gravity to pull on the oceans. So that means you've got gravity coming from the moon and between the Earth, between the Earth and the moon, you must have gravity, because the gravity is supposed to be pulling on our oceans. So if you've got a satellite or anything that's supposed to be trying to pass in between that, is absolute rubbish, because it wouldn't get past. It just wouldn't get through. Secondly, as I said, that's not happening. The moon doesn't create the tides. The oceans create the tides, the different temperatures in the oceans. And I forget the proper terminology for it, but there's underground streams and what have you.
Gulf Stream.
Well, not just, yeah, the Gulf Streams, and there's lots of others. And it's all got to do with temperatures in the water that gives you high tides and low tides. It's got nothing to do with the moon whatsoever, you see. So, again, people never even look at that. They don't see it because...
But, that doesn't matter though, John, does it? I mean, that really doesn't matter. If you think about it, whatever causes the tides, some have tides and some don't. Whatever causes it, that doesn't matter, does it?
No, but it just proves that they're wrong about the moon.
Well, I mean, again, it's a hypothesis that's like not really got any not any consequences.
How's that like? I mean, it's again. You see, we've just proved that the moon isn't doing what they said it does.
Well, we haven't proved it, have we?
Yeah, yes, yeah. No, we have.
We've offered a reason as
no,
to why.
No. You're trying to tell me. See, again, you're defending them because you're programmed to defend them.
I'm not defending them. I'm not.
Yes, you're trying to tell me that.
I'm not programmed to defend anybody.
Yes, you are. Whether they like it or not. 6%. You're trying to tell me that 6% of the gravity that's on the moon supposedly is actually pulling on our oceans. Is that what you're saying? It does work.
Sorry, what was that? What were the questions?
This 6% of gravity that's supposed to be on the moon is actually pulling the tides in.
Well, I don't know. This is the thing. This is what I'm saying to you.
Well,
I don't know. I really don't know. But what I'm saying is the answer is of no consequence.
No, that's
whether they do or it doesn't.
It's of no consequence to you because you don't know. I do know.
But what is the consequence to you then? I mean, I just don't understand what the consequence is.
Why should there be a consequence?
It's just a different theory, isn't it?
What's a consequence?
Well, I'm talking about anything that's important is something that has consequence.
So what's important?
So I'll tell you what. Just give me a second, okay. Right? If I'm saying I believe that the United States government carried out 9/11, right? That is something that's got a consequence. Now, if people believe it, there is a consequence, and there's a price to pay for having that. Now, if you believe the moon, I don't believe the moon does the tides or any. To be honest, I'm not that interested. But what I'm saying is that we're spending a lot of time talking about something that really is of no consequence. We're talking about just simply tides.
So wait a minute. So okay. What is the consequence? Tell me the consequence.
The consequence of 9/11 being orchestrated by people in the shadow government. It has huge consequences because my country's at war. Friends of mine are going to war. Those are the consequences. Now, if the moon is not doing the tides are still doing what they're doing, but there is no consequence to me because there's nothing going on. Nobody's getting.
No. You've got it wrong. You've got it wrong because we're not trying to find a consequence. We're just trying to prove to you that what they're telling you, everything they tell you, is a lie. Everything they tell you.
Well, I know that everything.
Well, that's the consequence of what I've just said. You cannot have it one way and not the other way. The thing is, look at 9/11. We've been talking about 9/11 for the last 14 bloody years, man. They're still trying to convince these idiots that aluminium aeroplanes can disappear into solid steel girders, pass through it. We've been on for 14 years, and you're still talking about it. It's never had any consequence at all, other than it's given them permission to go out there and do whatever they want to do. That's the only thing, but nobody's doing anything about it. It's like David Kelly. It's a bit like Princess Diana. You all know she was bumped off. I mean, but nobody's doing anything about it. It's like I said, I was very reluctant to come on the radio because I know that's what I'm faced with. I'm faced with a lot of people who are programmed over the last 2,500. Everything in your head has been put there. By then, that's what you've got. The only tool you've got is the information that you're getting off YouTube or any other program. That's where you're getting your information from. You assess that in the way you want to assess it. You decide what's important and what isn't important. That's what you're doing. In other words, anything I bring up that's going to be against what is taking place, I'm going to have problems. This is why I don't come on radio shows, because I know I'm wasting my time. Because, again, who the hell am I? That's exactly why they chose me. One, not because with the main words, one was I didn't smoke and I didn't drink, and I've never touched it. I've never drank in my life, because that's one of the drink is what would have caused me to die when I went through the One Step Beyond, this program they put us through. I wouldn't have made it. Secondly, I went through all that program to understand what life is all about, why we're here, how we got here. I know all of that. I don't want anyone else out there trying to tell us, because I've been there, I've seen it. But because the way they're programmed, they will say, well, how do you know you're not programmed? How do you know that what you believe is real? And that's how it'll go. It'll always go that way. You see, because even if the truth was sitting on your knee, you wouldn't recognize it. You'll find faults with it. You're going to find faults no matter what anybody brings up. You're going to find a fault with it. I can guarantee
listen,
that.
John, I'm in this, and I question everything. Okay, I question absolutely
But
everything.
you haven't got.
And I wouldn't be doing my job. Sorry, I haven't even got a job doing this. But I wouldn't be doing people that are listening, right? If I didn't say
But
things, if I didn't question what you're saying,
that's right. But it doesn't matter what I come up with. You still want to question that as well. In other words, you're not going to solve the problem because you've already made your mind up, or your mind has already been made up for you on
it's
how
not
things
been made up for, mate.
Yes, it is.
Through personal experience. When you say
What personal experience?
When I say to you, look, we can be off out of this planet, and
No, you can't.
Anybody that's been on a submarine knows that.
No, you're still on this planet.
You're in the same environment, but what you do is you take a little bit of your environment with you, and that's how you survive.
No, they don't.
So submarines don't exist.
No, submarines do exist, but you're still in.
That is an above ground environment that's been taken underwater.
No, you're still in the environment, man. You're still within the Earth's energy fields. You're not leaving the Earth's energy. I'm a diver. I'm a third-class diver. You one? I'm a pilot. I've been through the lot, man. I've been there. I've done it. I understand exactly what happens when a submarine goes in the water. Even them are limited to certain depths.
So
it's all going to do with pressure.
So you wouldn't. I know it's all about pressure. But that can be that's volume as well, isn't it? It's all about volume and pressure. But what I'm saying is, a submarine is an environment that you take from one place.
I know, but you're still in the environment, man. You're still in the same environment.
But you're not. You're underwater.
No.
If you were 2 feet to the other side of the steel, you'd be crushed to death and you'd be dead.
That's right.
So you wouldn't survive in that environment. So you're in a different environment.
No.
So what you're doing is you're taking the environment with you, which means that you can survive outside.
No, you can't do that outside the planet. You can only do that within inside the planet, because your energy fields is what keeps you alive. No matter how deep you go, that energy field is still there. That energy field is there. You're on the planet. You're not leaving the planet. As long as you're on this planet, that energy field, that magnetic field is always going to be there. It's when you leave the magnetic field and that energy field is what your energy then dies. Your energy was brought.
Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, right. So
John, can I just jump in there? We've got a question from, who was it, in the chat room? Hang on, the chat room's gone bonkers. No, I won't ask how John feels about the flat Earth theory, because
it's absolute rubbish.
It's Jeff. He's asking, is that why they call it a prison planet? Because we can't leave it.
No. It's they're trying to tell you that we were brought here to do a lot of work to get gold for the big bulls. Do you know anybody that digs for gold for the big bulls? It's like There's so many ridiculous things to come out with. They're trying to tell you that they're trying to kill us, right? That when I say trying to kill, I'm trying to kill everybody. We're living longer now than we've ever done. If you go back just 60, 70 years ago, people were dying before, all of them were dying before they were 50. We had no food, we had nothing. We had no communications. But you get people like David Icke trying to tell you that we're having the freedom of speech. But he stands up in Trafalgar Square, calling the Queen every name under the sun, and the police force and everybody else, and then he gets on his mobile phone, then he flies off to another country to say exactly the same thing, but then he tells you he hasn't got the freedom of speech. I mean, this is how crazy this whole thing is.
Mm. Well, you say about people didn't live to 40 if you go back to Victorian times, but I've wandered around churchyards and there's plenty of gravestones in there of people who lived 80, 90.
You always had the people who had money, who had the food and what have you. Well, I mean, there's more, if you think of how many old people there is now in the working class, we're living a hell of a lot longer than we did. That's why the population of the world is quadrupling, because we've got more food, we've got better conditions, you see. But they're trying to tell you that the food's poisoning you. And yet all these big fat people who are eating twice as much of this poison as everybody else, but they're still alive, they're still in their 70s. It's amazing. But you see, you're being conned, you're being ripped off on every bloody subject. You know, they come up with some silly statements, you see. Now, again, to go into the world where it's flat or round, right, would have to go into a lot of things that you couldn't do on this program, you see. But what I'm trying to do is this. I've been trying to get people who's got some money to be able to... Now, money is always the problem. You can't put anything together. It would take me at least 6 weeks to be able to put the whole thing together on every subject to make it so people understand what it is they're looking at, so it makes sense. Do you understand? Each one adds to the other. Do you understand? It gives you the other story the credibility it needs. It's like building blocks, you know? And you would have to go through the whole thing. Who we are, what we are, why we're here, how we got here, right? You know, and the reason for being here, and why things are the way they are now. Now, there's a lot of stories going about fallen angels. Basically, that is true, but not in the way they see it. Do you understand? 2,500, 3,000 years ago, I mean, I was showing things that nobody's seen, right? So I know exactly what happened. I know why it happened in the way it did. I can tell you the whole story. I can tell you all about what Jesus really is and all of that. I can tell you exactly. But it needs to be put down correctly. It needs to be put together so people really understand, not bits and pieces, because you'll always find a fault or an excuse in it. So I want to be able to put it down where you can't do that, where it's an impossibility. You see? Once the whole picture's out, then you'll understand why these people are doing what they're doing, why they're spraying the skies, right? Why they're slaughtering people around the world, the real reason, and why they're trying to bring down all the borders to mix the races to destroy the cultures. All of that will come out if I can get this put together correctly. But like I said, it will take time. We need to dig up the right evidence to back it, you see. You can't just make a statement. This is why I didn't like the idea, really, of coming on the airways for that very reason. Do you understand? Even if the truth was sitting on their knee, they wouldn't know what they were looking at. They wouldn't be able to put it together. It's like what that guy said, if the only tool you've got is a hammer, is a brain, well, every problem is going to have to be a nail, you see. So for the last 2,500 years, at least 2,500 years, since man was able to put things down on paper or record it somewhere, it's all false. It's all false. You see, but that's the only thing that we know. That's the only thing we understand. And that was already planned 2,500 years. You see, this God business was all planned. It's all been manipulated. like I say, that if you think back of what the churches did couple of hundred years ago, they were the most evil people on the planet, still are. These are the people that went on torturing people if you didn't go to church, and rip you to bits, and they've got special machines to skin you alive. These are what they did, and they're still doing it in places. They're forcing people and scaring people into believing in this God, you see? And the churches are all like that. And if you look how many pedophiles is in them now, in these churches, there was one a month just a few years ago getting picked up. Again, it's all a con, it's all a lie, and they all get paid for it. They all live the vast majority of them living in luxury. But these churches are not churches, they're program stations. That's why there has to be one in every village, even if it's just a parish. They've got to be there. They've got to keep you at it. They've got to keep making you feel guilty if you don't follow this God, you see? But if they knew who this God really was, then I think it would shock them. It would terrify them.
Okay, John. I've just seen we've just passed the first hour. So what we normally do at this stage is we play a quick tune so we can all have a bit of a break, freshen up, and we'll be back in about 4 minutes for the second hour.
Just before, if anybody wants to call in, because we did say that we wanted people call in to do a Q&A with John. So if anybody wants to call in, grab Andy on Skype and get on.
Yeah, my Skype's Andy_Young_Skype. We've got a load of questions stacking up, so we'll play this tune and we'll be back in just under 4 minutes.
You're listening to RaconteursNews.com. Stay tuned for more untwisted, unsweetened news. Please consider buying a t-shirt or making a donation to help support us. Thank you for your support. We do it for us all.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News. This evening we've got our Q&A with John Urwin. Fascinating chap. And we did say at the start of the show, and we've had no callers yet, but if you want to ask John a question yourself, and I know there's people out there that are itching to, don't be shy. It's just us talking on Skype. It's not like anyone can see you. You're more than welcome to call in. My Skype is Andy_Young_Skype, and you'll get straight through and live on the air. So if there's anything there, but we have got an absolute load of questions lined up. The most recent one is, oh no, there's a load more since then. They're asking, is there any news on the film with Sean Stone, and was there a falling out between you and Sean?
No, there's been no falling out. No. I got an email 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
This guy called Philip, who's the scriptwriter. So they're in the process, as far as I understand, they're in the process of finishing the script off.
Right. So there's somebody who said they were a bit concerned that Sean Stone actually did Sean Stone actually buy the rights? And somebody said they were a bit concerned that Sean had tried to get the rights to the film in order to keep you quiet, basically.
Well, let's put it this way. Again, see, this is I don't mean to insult anybody, but it's a frame of mind that people got people in. I can't explain that. Again, if they wanted to keep me quiet, all I had to do was say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they've been here, have photographs taken with this is a photograph of me shown in the book, by the way, where we signed the contract. He's given us permission to put these photos in the back of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they didn't want me to get the story out, all I had to do was be quiet about it, say nothing. Through these people, they've actually given me credibility. The fact that they've been over here to see us, right? They've been with us, and I've got photographs of them everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there's YouTube films about it. So I think they're going the wrong way about it. They want to keep us quiet. Yeah. I kind of see the sense in the way people think. It's rather weird. If people wanted to keep us quiet, really keep us quiet, well, they might try and get rid of us like they did. But I'm a professional at that game. I'm probably 100 times better than what they are at the same game. But again, that's not going to happen. They're not going to attempt it unless they have a bloody good reason. You see, This is why I keep off certain subjects.
Yeah.
And again, when you're on different programs like this, you're limited to what you can say. Therefore, when a subject comes up, you cannot answer the subject in the way that you would like to answer it.
Yeah.
To give a more positive, return. You see. So again, this is why I get reluctant to get on programs like this, because, like I said, it's not that easy to back up by just words alone.
No.
So it would take me, like I said, a good 5 or 6 weeks for the right people to help us, who are capable to put this together in such a way where people understand what they are, why we're here on this planet, how did we get here, what we're actually doing here, right?
Uh-huh.
And the journeys that I've got to be careful again. That brought our souls here, are brought here in a special way, right? You cannot zip off in a rocket or some special machine and zip off into space to another planet. It cannot be done. For a start, navigation would be impossible, right? Because you'd be traveling so fast, and there's millions of bloody things belting through space there, bits of rock going to them, right? You'd be bumping into things very, very quickly. You wouldn't be able to navigate if you were traveling faster at the speed of light. It'd just be impossible. In the length of time it would take you to get there as a human being, it'd be just a total waste of space because you're not going to get there. You see? That's if it was possible to leave the planet, but you can't leave the planet. But it's not a prison planet, right? It's where life is. You can't get this kind of life anywhere else in our solar system. It's brought from elsewhere. The fight, that's why you've got to, why do you think there's a battle going on for life on the planet? Because they can't get it anywhere else, man. People want to wake up. That's why they want control of this planet, because this is where life is. This is where life is possible in the form that we're in. In any other, other creatures that come here are synthetic. They haven't got feelings. They haven't got emotions. They're not soul carriers. That's as far as I can go with this, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll really be asking for trouble.
Yeah, fair enough. We have got a question that goes back to your time in the 16 and in particular your training. Okay. Mithrin's asking, with respect, how is John so sure that the officer, and he's got their brackets ET, because you did say he was a man who looked like no man you'd ever seen before, who trained him, is actually a good guy given the state of the affairs of the world today?
Well, that's been asked 1,000 times. How do you know that he's not a good guy then?
Well,
this is the answer. The answer to that is because the very thing that was causing a problem on the planet, that would have been a big problem. In other words, these people who are asking the question at the moment don't realise what we were after, right? What we were trying to recover. Now, I didn't know exactly what we're trying to recover until we went to Jarabah. That's why the Egyptians wanted me over there. As soon as I mentioned the word Jarabah, they wanted me over there quick. They wanted to ask a lot of questions about Jarabah, you see?
Well, and I think most of our listeners will be aware of the very, very strange occurrence that happened to you on the hillside when you were in Jarabah, and you just happened to look up and see a couple of flying saucers taking off in 1958.
That's right. Now, here's another. I'm forgetting the chap's name now. He was on Richard D. Hall's program, David Coyat or something. I'm forgetting his name. He's an oldish fella that was in this searching, trying to find out what happened to these animals.
David Clayton.
David Clayton, yeah. Well, if you ask him, no, he doesn't know me. He actually come up, and he was in Cyprus at the same time I was in 1959.
Yeah.
He was on Trudus Mountains in the radar station. Now ask him this, because he'll tell you that they saw two flying objects, and they sent jet fighters after them at exactly the same time as I was in Jarabah. Check it out.
I can actually vouch for that story because I met David Clayton at Homefirth at Gary Hazeltine's conference last year, and David actually stood on the stage and told that story. Right.
Now, I don't know David Clayton. I've never met the man. And he'll tell you that it was 1959, late 59, exactly when I was out there in Jarabah, right, when these things appeared. And he brought proof up that they were there because jet fighters went chasing after them. So it wasn't the imagination. When I saw them, I pointed at them, and Shorty came over and said, "You saw nothing." I said, "Well, I did." I said, No, you saw nothing. I said, "Okay, I saw nothing." But I said, how the hell am I going to forget something like that? And he said, "Just get on with it. You know how to knock these things out of your mind because of the program that I did, And again, when we got to Jarabah, to that compound, I still had no idea what we were after. There was not all of it. There was, some of them were actually operating vehicles. They were acting as intelligence officers. So there was only about 10 or 12 of us there at the time. But we raided that place. Well, one man actually got inside the camp and pretended to be one of their soldiers when we hit the place, and he went in with them, and that's how he got inside the building. And he got the objects that they were after, but they would keep on saying, don't forget, get them. And they were mentioning it. And I'm saying, what's it? And what's them? Now, never mind, we'll tell you later. You don't need to know. It was after we hit the camp and killed best part of them in the camp. And we got back over the River Jordan on the other side. Is when I saw these two objects. Mm-hmm. And these two objects were oblong, about 8 inches long, half an inch thick, and about 3 or 4 inches wide. And they were green in colour. They looked like glasses, so you could see through them a bit, you know. But they had long, sort of little black lines on the top, like an old record. Do you understand? Like the lines you'd see on a record. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, what's that? And when we put these capes over the top of us, we shone a light on them, and they lit up. They actually lit up. Now, whether it was the torches that were actually doing that, I don't know. But anyway, we had these little white dots going around inside, you know, like you find on the dance hall, you know, when they've got that thing on the ceiling. It was a bit like that. And anyway, one of my lot picked it up, and he had this, what looked like a plastic thing, which he put over his hand. It's hard to explain this. And he got this oblong thing, and he slid it underneath his hand through this plastic thing. And on the top, on the back of his hand, it looked like a watch, right? But the thing lit up. There was a picture there, and there was letters coming up as he was passing it through. And he says, that's it, we've got them. And I'm saying, oh, how did you do that? Where's the batteries? I was looking for batteries. He said, well, you should know, you know, the amount of electricity you got in your body, that's what we're using. So anyway, that's true, that the way that happened. Now, I was still really naive. They didn't want me to know too much about me, you see. The more I knew, the more danger I'd be in, you see. But anyway, they were taken away by what you call runners. Took the two objects away. But that was on those two objects was advanced technology. That's why in the late 50s or 60s, all of this technology you've got now has come to light. Because just before the war, the Jews had two of these things. We stopped to see they need 6 of them together before we get all the information. You see? Mm-hmm. Now, one of these tablets have got a little bit of information from different tablets, if you like. Yeah. So when you look at them, you don't really understand them. You can get so much information, but not all of it, you see. Well, I had 2 of these, and they took them to the Nazi scientists. And most of the Nazi scientists were Jews. They were experimenting with them, and Hitler had just come to power then, he was just taken over. This is when they were feeding them with money. This is where you get all the money to build all the motorways, right? Mm-hmm. When he saw what they had, when he was told by one of his staff, because he had no idea what they were experimenting on, you see, and he was informed that about this information they were picking up off these tablets. He knew nothing about them tablets. When he went to the department where they were operating on these tablets, he stopped the Jews from getting them. What happened then was the information they got, they put together this dome-shaped thing that looked like a bell. They called it the clunker, right? They were playing about with that, and they were sending certain information through the frequencies. What was the information they got off the tablets? Mm-hmm. They were just playing about with it, you see. So they had some idea, but the machinery they had couldn't produce it, you see. They even knew about these little chips, like what you have in, in your computer. But they had no way of making them. They had no way of understanding how they got that information on those little chips, you see. Right. They knew that it could be done, but they didn't have the equipment or the men or the brains to put it together. But they knew about it, right? Mm-hmm. So, but what equipment they did have, they tried to put this thing together. And this bell-shaped thing was in this shed, in this big, hangar. And when they passed these frequencies through it, it lifted off the ground. It went to the top of the hangar. And they thought they had an anti-gravity machine, you see?
Yeah.
Which was natural, because it lifted off the ground. When they stopped the frequencies, it crashed to the ground. And then they tried to get it to do something else, and it wouldn't. Then they realised that they hadn't put it together properly. They were getting more information. It should have been a lot... It could have been a lot smaller, but they didn't have that technology. So the equipment that they were using in its place meant that the thing was twice the size of it, 3 times the size of it should be, right? So they took it to Poland. They made a big one. And they took it to Poland, out the way of everybody, so nobody would see it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an old water tower there. And the wood tower was gone, but only the concrete base was left. Like a circle with little legs on it, like a coffee table, right? This was concrete with metal inside it, you see? So anyway, they put this bell in the middle of the circle, and they chained it down. A lower loader, that's a wagon that brought it there, right? There was only 2 drivers and the guy who operated the crane, right? They lifted this thing off and they put it there and they chained it down because they didn't want it to go anywhere, you see? And they had this like a little concrete bunker thing, and it took them quite a while to put the equipment there to try and send these frequencies through. This really took place. When they tried to send these frequencies to operate it, the 2 guys, the truck drivers, their bodies disappeared. I'm not joking you. They turned up their body in the molecules again, atoms again, and only left their clothes behind. Only their clothes were left lying. They've actually made a film of that now. Anyway, that's what happened. All our plans changed at the start. They said it cannot be the same frequency, and they were amazed at what I'd saw, and they said a good job we're inside these concrete bunkers, you see. So anyway, they kept messing about with it. Then it started to rise again. They actually got it to move. This time, the truck disappeared. Only the tires and everything that wasn't metal was left behind. Recognize it? Recognize it? The towers? Energy weapon? Only steel? The concrete turned to dust? Well, the tower, when this bell rose, the chains disappeared. The metal inside the concrete base, that disappeared, and there was only a pile of dust of concrete lying on the floor, and this thing just vanished, just moved. Nobody knows where it went. That's what happened with the declunker, the bell. This is why they told the Jews that they weren't going to get it, these tablets. They weren't going to get the information. Hitler had to go. That's why Germany came back, peace in our times, it was all planned. You had no intention of coming here, but you're not going to hear that. Nobody's going to believe that. You've been really programmed, didn't it? But that's the reason why they went to war with them, to annihilate Germany. They had to get the proof of that. Operation Paperclip afterwards. Why did they take all the Nazis? Why? For what reason would they do it? Operation Paperclip. They took all the Nazis that were on those programs, and they even tell you about the declunker, the bell, right? And then what happened? In 1947, they were still practicing with it, called the Philadelphia experiment. The ship did disappear, but only half of it. It didn't take place the way the film showed you. So that's more proof that they were still experimenting with it. So in 2001, they'd still been practicing with it, making trucks disappear and things like that. They had to try it. They didn't have the ability to make it come down from above by using aircraft because they had to make the components a lot smaller. Aircraft couldn't carry it. So it took them another 30 years to be able to fix it so an airplane could carry this device, you see? So that's what they used on the towers. Half the towers vanished completely. And there's plenty of proof of that. Plenty of evidence of that.
I know. There's quite a few interviews I've watched with Dr. Judy Wood, and she's telling you about the directed energy weapon and the fact that there wasn't enough rubble left. And you can clearly see when you watch the slow motion of the films that large chunks of masonry were turning into dust mid-air.
That's right, yeah, of course it would, yeah. All them girders, vast majority of girders just vanished. Mm-hmm. The firemen, the police and some firemen that were in the basement, they thought they were going to get buried alive.
Yeah.
When they looked up, the evidence was there, they looked up, the building wasn't there, it was gone. It hadn't come down at all. It only had come down around them. That's proof, there's evidence there to prove that. I mean, the witnesses are there. Instead, we looked up, the building wasn't there. And they were in the basement.
Yeah.
That basement, all that way, there should have been no basement left.
Well, I mean, also, a lot of people talk about Building 7 as a building that wasn't hit by any planes. It may have been...
But again, there was no planes involved at all.
No.
Aeroplanes can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Aeroplanes can't cut through solid steel girders. It's just not possible.
Mm.
It's an impossibility. Aeroplanes, when they hit buildings like that are solid steel, those girders were only 2 feet apart, That's all they were. That aeroplane would have just buckled up, and even the engines wouldn't have got inside the building. The girders would have just bent a bit. But these aeroplanes would have just collapsed to the ground. Mm. But there was the one that's supposed to land in the field. There was no sign of it. There was a hole in the ground, but they're still trying to convince you that when aeroplanes go missing in America, they disappear for some reason.
Mm.
It's the only place in the world where they actually vanish completely.
Well, yeah, that was the one in Shanksville, wasn't it? And if I remember correctly, the coroner discharged himself after 20 minutes because he said there are no bodies.
There's no plane. They couldn't find even a piece of one. Again, it's all a lie. And for anybody to still be talking about it after all this time, we've got to have a problem here. There's a problem. If they haven't got basic common sense, then we've got a big problem on our hands.
Well, it's the thing is with the 9/11 issue is that there are so many myths, and I agree. 9/11, obviously an inside job. Someone planned it, and it wasn't the people that were blamed for it. I don't know what happened to the towers. I've not studied it enough. But one of the myths is that the aluminium wouldn't go through the concrete.
It's not a myth. It's not a myth. Yeah, it's not a myth.
Well, it is because I mean,
no, it's a fact.
People, it's not really, is it? I mean,
no, it's a fact. Aluminium can't go through steel. That's a fact.
But water can go through steel, so how come aluminium can't? It's all about kinetic energy.
No, water can't go through steel unless...
A water jet cutter can.
A water jet. Have you seen that? Cutting through solid steel girders? No, again, I'm a professional in this as well. And if you want proof, I can bring it up. I'm a burner, I'm a cutter. I worked in demolition. I work for Trembles. I worked on bringing buildings down. I know exactly what can bring a building down. I know what explosives that's needed. I know where to place them. I know all about them. I was trained that way in the army as well. I was a saboteur. I was one of the last guys to drive a chariot in the Mediterranean. A chariot is a submarine, a two-seater made into a two-seater submarine, and that's a torpedo designed that way. But I've been through every training in the book. Like I say, I'm a pilot. I can tell you exactly what aeroplanes can do and what aluminium can do without any question at all. But there's no way that an aluminium aeroplane can possibly cut through steel girders, 2 foot by 2 foot, each girders. No way, I don't care what they do. They couldn't even, the speed, no matter what speed they went at, it still wouldn't have penetrated those buildings. No way would have penetrated those buildings. Secondly, to fly at any real speed, the wings would have dropped off a long way before the airplanes even reached the buildings. The
There's
airplanes
something we
can't,
agree on.
in low atmosphere, they can't do it.
No.
Let's say I've been a pilot now for 19 years, and I've flown just about most planes, except commercial pilots. I'm not a commercial pilot, but again, I was trained with it in the army. I was trained what to look for, the best way to take down people and buildings, the best way to infiltrate, and this is through skills that's not even known today. It's advanced. It was all advanced stuff. It's not even known today. Some of the little tricks that's in the book baffle them. Even the SES couldn't do them. I had them up here trying to do them. Simple. These were just the initiative tests. They failed it miserably, absolutely miserably. Again, the problem we have is there's a million people out there waiting to get their hands on anything that they can make a video out of, like flat earth people and all these other silly little things. And that the earth spins around 1,000 miles an hour, and it's all crazy stuff. And again, I don't like saying that because people want answers. I cannot give them the answer over the airways, but we can prove it. And this is why I've got to get people who are in a financial position to help us to put this together. But again, I don't think we've got that much time left, to be quite honest with you. I think whatever is going to happen is going to happen pretty soon now. We're not that far away. And all these silly people that are making these videos and talking about it, like I say, I just give them the elite more time to carry on with a new world order. And when we are too busy talking about 9/11 and GFP and all that, they are ripping the world to bloody bits. Because, like I said, people are just sitting yapping about it. They're not doing anything about it. And then when you ask them, they say, well, what can I do? It's a joke, man. The whole thing's a bloody joke. They're ripping the countries to bits now and nobody's doing anything about it. All they can do is contradict each other and argue with each other over something that happened 15 years ago. It's not going to, it doesn't get what it is. It gets them somewhere. They are still gaining valuable ground every day. Now they're in position of every government, every level of government now, they're in. They're in there now. So if you say anything against it, mate, you're going to be locked up. They're going to come and arrest you. And that's the position we're in. And this is why I'm really reluctant to come on any program. Because
what you've got to understand, John, is that, I mean, what we're here to do, if there's something that if I was sat listening, I would want the person to ask that question, and so that's what I want. That's what I try to do. I'm not giving you any.
If you got the question, what would you do with it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I asked the questions.
No, but I'm saying if you'd asked the questions and the question was answered in a way that somebody that would give you the answer, what would you do with the answer?
Well, with the answer, I would take on board that answer. I would take.
I know, but where would it go after that? It wouldn't go anywhere. You can't do anything about it.
Well, we've got a comment in the chat room from Tony. He said, wouldn't it help us to do something if we knew what we were up against?
Well, no, not now. Because, like I said, the only people that can actually do anything about it is people who have the right experience, the ability to do something about it. The average man hasn't got that ability. And if you give him some information that was of value, he'd probably commit suicide over it. I mean, I don't mean that, how can I put it? He'd be running about with this information that would just get him into serious trouble. Because he wouldn't know what to do with it even when he got it. He just wouldn't know how to handle it. And besides that, you're not going to get the information through because they're programmed to think a certain way. That's why you're still talking about it 15 years later. You're still talking about it because all of these people are programmed. They will never accept that. They'll never accept that. The evidence is right there in front of them, but they're doing their level best to disprove it. Mm-hmm. They've been doing their level best for the last 15 years on 9/11 because they haven't got the brains to work it out. To basic common sense they haven't got. All they could do is argue about it. That's all they can do. They do that with everything. They did it with Princess Diana. Oh, no, she wrote a letter saying he's going to kill us. That's never enough. You see? And no matter how much you proved in that she was actually executed, was the fact that that should never happen, never in a million years, and I'll explain why. If you're a professional bodyguard, right, say I was, I wouldn't allow them to change the car for a start, because the car was supposed to have a problem, right? I've seen the whole story. They should never change the car. Secondly, the bodyguard never lets anybody else drive the car other than him. He won't do it. They would have to do exactly what he told them to do if he thought there was a problem. Secondly, the princess is being chased every day by the paparazzis. So why should they be tearing off at a certain speed? It's absolute rubbish. It's nonsense. That car was rigged. The whole thing was rigged from beginning to end. That's why you had a little old Fiat that couldn't go on any more than 50 miles an hour, was in the tunnel with an ex-intelligence officer who was driving. She happened to be a reporter as well. But he was in the tunnel before they got there. Mm-hmm. And they had been diverted from a side street that they were supposed to go along. There was motorbikes in the way to drive the car through the tunnels. You see, so how did the car know, the Fiat, know that they were going that way? But again, professional bodyguards don't do what he did. No. They don't let somebody else drive, and they would not. He was the only one wearing the seatbelt. He would have made the rest wear a seatbelt. He would have stopped the guy from travelling. Why should they travel at 90 miles an hour away from a handful of people that want to take photos that do it every day?
Yeah. So, John, back to the thing in hand. So, you know, wouldn't it help? The question was, wouldn't it help us to do something if we knew what we're up against?
No, because what you're up against is far superior to what you're in a position to do. You're not in a position to do anything.
So,
let's explain this. Even the military, who are in a position to do something about it, right? You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Even the military now, your military can stop it. Your police can stop it.
Yeah.
So ask the question. I'm not going to answer the question. I'm going to ask you to ask the question, why haven't they done something about it? You mean to tell me that you're the only one who knows there's something going on wrong here? Are you trying to tell me the military don't know it? Mm. So don't ask me. Ask the people that's in power. Ask your top colonels, right? I know why, but I'm not going to see why. You work it out yourselves.
So what I was going to ask as a result of that is, so what would you suggest, you, John Urwin, what would you suggest that people do if they want to do something positive?
Again, if the people were in a position to be able to do something about it, I would be able to advise them on how to go about that. In other words, if you're a high-ranking officer in the military and you have the backing of the military, then I can sort of help, if you like, rather than being too arrogant and say that I know exactly what to do. I could advise them. That's why I come on these programs. I don't expect that your average listener to be able to do anything about it. He's not in a position to do it. He hasn't got the ability to do anything about it. Because he's voting power, all his voting power. He has no vote. He's never had a vote, but he believes he has. He hasn't got a choice. He's never had a choice. You see? It's like asking you to vote to get out of the common market, out of the European Union. You were never in it. You never voted for it in the first place. It's a fraud. You were taken in there whether you liked it or not. And nobody did anything about that neither. Nobody said, hey, what's going on here? I didn't vote for that. But you're in it, whether you like it or not. It's like that little paedophile when it comes to Ted Heath.
Yeah.
The child killer. He took you forcefully into the common market. We voted for it. We voted against it. And he changed the rules He said, oh, you're going to have another vote like they did in Ireland. You're going to vote the way we want. That's exactly what they did. That's how much power these people have got. They've run the film world ever since day one. They've been programming you from day one. All your programs that you watch from the Carry On films is run by exactly the same people. All your actors, Bernard Breslau, all of them, all Jews, all control everything. And they've all got you laughing and joking and carrying on and say, oh, we really like them. Never mind the quality you feel with. Al Garnett, a whole lot of Jews. But they'll turn around and say, it's not the Jews, it's got to be the Jews. Because they're programmed that much. People are programmed that much, they won't accept it. They will never accept it.
So, yeah, with Ted Heath, you saying about paedophile and child murder, I think that's pretty much common knowledge. But
now it is, but it wasn't just a few years ago, it wasn't common knowledge.
But the question I wanted to ask...
That became common knowledge when that bloody freak, what do I call him, Savile.
Yeah.
When that was done deliberately, that. Because now they're in power. They own every level of government. Do you understand? Right down councils, the schools. They own them. They're taken over. They get rid of all the good guys. They're in power. Really in power.
Well, that information...
That's why the average man, the average guy, the average Tom, Dick, and Harry, can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
In fact, there's even people that's in power that can't do anything about it. They've been blackmailed, they've been replaced.
Yeah, the information about Ted Heath being a paedophile and a child murderer, I would say I read it probably at least 5 years before Savile died.
Yeah, that's right. It was meant to come out as it did.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It was meant to come out. It's to let you know that they're in control now.
And do you believe that Heath was blackmailed to take us into the EU?
No. He's a freak. He was put there. It all started with Bridget McCain, Kim Bilby. They were all gay. Mm. They were married, but they were all gay. They infiltrated the intelligence services, and then they replaced them with gays. They replaced a whole lot with people of that caliber, of that, whatever you want to call them. They've been all replaced.
Yeah.
They've spent the last 60 years doing it.
Here's an interesting little snippet from you. It's posted by someone who I know was in the police force some time ago, and he said that the Met have admitted that Ted Heath thing was in fact treason, but in order to pursue it, they would have to arrest the entire cabinet, which they're not prepared to do.
That's exactly right, because the entire cabinet is part of the setup. Mm-hmm. Right? It goes right back. BBC is the headquarters of the paedophile rings.
Yeah,
that's their headquarters. That's why you're forced to pay a license to make sure you've got a steady income coming in. Again, you see, okay, I'm not educated. I can't juggle with words in the way I like to, right? Uh-huh. So that's why I avoid. That doesn't mean I don't know what the hell I'm doing or what I'm talking about. It just means I haven't got the ability to put it in such a way where people would really may understand a lot better. But the thing is this, I've got the skills that these guys have never, ever dreamed of, you see. Even at 78, I can still do them. In fact, I could be moving into an area very soon that might be able to do something about it. But to actually get other people involved, the average Tom, Dick, or Harry, if you like, would be a very silly thing to do. People with information that's going to scare them and probably make them do things that they wouldn't normally do would be a pointless exercise. It would only get them into more trouble, and it would only feed these other maniacs who make all these YouTube films, you know. There's millions of them out there. There's the one that each one contradicts the other in some way, shape, or form. And they all live in World Cuckoo Land, man. It's a crazy world. The YouTubers smoke with them. Mm-hmm. And I say, if you put the truth in a bottle of lies and deception, you're not going to find it. But it's even worse again if you don't even know what the bloody truth is. You see? So again, for the last 2,500 years, everything you know about history,
Everything is just one big lie. So you cannot use the information you've got really and try to work things out because it's what they supplied you with. You see, it's like the Bible. The Bible is the blueprint of the New World Order. It was published, it was printed in such a way, like, I don't know how long it was after the so-called birth of Jesus. It came out, it was a couple of 100 years or something, before people was in a position to be able to print it in some way, shape or form. But again, look in the Bible, because in the Bible tells you their plan. Their plan and their predictions will come true. They'll make them come true.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make them come true. They want you to fall back onto the Bible because the Bible is them. Because God and the devil are one and the same. You see, but you're not going to get through to people who's programmed that way. You're never going to get through. Yet, you know, when I see things like that, to help that actually help us, when I said that this God that they follow is a stark raving lunatic who just loves going on killing people, and all he put people on the planet for was to follow him. I mean, well, what was the point in the first place? But the thing is, they say, oh, that's blasphemous. He'll strike you down dead. I said, thanks very much. That's exactly what I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah.
You
We've got another one from the chat room. Well, there's two along the same sort of lines, so I'll just read them both together. Mithrin's saying, John, please share your skills before they're lost forever. Let fate decide if it's pointless. And the other one, Jeff, is asking, has John thought about a video which spills the beans, which could be released after his death?
Well, put it this way. That's what I've just been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I need people who can back us financially to be able to put this film together, you see. It has to be done pretty quickly now because we're heading for Armageddon now.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll just say, let's put it this way. I am seeing people very soon that might be able to establish something with regards to putting things right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's leave it at that. But again, spreading the news out there, like all of these other people, like, you know, you've got Alex Jones and all of these people who are telling you what you want to hear. You see, to get you to follow them, they have to criticize themselves in lots of ways. You know, they're part of the system, but they'll pull the system to bits that they are part of to get you to go along with them. That's the clever part about it, you see. But these people like David Icke and all them, they are all part of the system. David Icke worked for the BBC. That's how he knew about Jimmy Savile. They all knew about it. They all knew what was going on, especially him. And this is why at the end of every speech he makes, he always tells you, he always tries to convince you that we're all the same, that borders divide us, right? Religion divides us. He's a New World Order man. He's a New World Order man 100%. And it's like that Farage. He's another one. He gets highly paid for them, and he actually goes to the head office and he gets paid by them. It's called the European Union, or the oh my, it's a laugh a minute. It's a laugh a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The world is a laugh a minute, though, isn't it? It's a one huge stage.
As you say, it's one big actor putting on for you. They don't want you to know exactly. See, they've given you the impression that you've got a group of people that just want to take over the planet, right? And that's exactly what they want to do, but not for a reason. Do you think they've got all the money in the world, man? They've got everything they want. There's got to be, it's all got to do with living forever, and in such a way where each time is something new. And they even make films in
they make films like They Live, and they give you some ideas. See? They know that you're picking up even wrong because they've made it obvious that they're trying to make that these creatures are something different living inside of something else, but they're still that creature. Do you understand what I mean? They just come up with skin. It's not that at all. And again, Sean asked us about that. What did I think about the film? And what were they trying to tell you? I said, well, they were trying to tell you that out of every 3 people or every 4 people, they're your enemy. They'll say your enemy is all around you. They're called people. It's the people who stop the people from getting to the people at the top. But them at the very, very top are not people. Remember that. But it's the policeman, and it's your next door neighbour, and it's just other idiots who will try and discredit you in any way possible. And there's millions of them. They live all around you. They're just waiting to jump on the bandwagon to knock you down. And like I said, these are the guys who will shop you. These are the traitors of the world. There's millions of them out there. They'll do anything for a few quid. The film world is full of them. You see, they'll do anything just to get into their little fantasy world. Look at me. And that's what it's all about. This is what they use to get people to follow them and do the beckoning, you see? Like the David X and all them. And all your top film people. They're there. It's, you've heard about what they've got to go to become a film star. Well, most people out there, your people. They're the people around you. Your next door neighbour will take a few quid, he'll shot you. He'll put you in prison the next day. You've got to understand, man, you're asking me to tell the enemy, because the enemy is the people. It's the people that's stopping the people. It's the coppers that come and whack you over the bloody head. It's not the elite. The elite didn't come down in their overalls and whack you around. It's your next door neighbour that knocks you on the bloody head. No, people not like that. I can just hear them now. They won't accept things like that. They won't accept that it's their neighbours. It's the big man across the road who will shock you if you're parking your car wrong because he just loves doing it. He wants to make you suffer. There's millions of them out there. Millions of them.
John, we've got a question here that really does go to the heart of the matter. And Jeff's asking, who or what does John think or know are at the top?
Sorry, say that again, please.
He's asking, who or what does John think or know are at the top? What is it we're up against?
Who's at the top, John?
Nephilim.
Okay.
They're called Jukrins. Not Nephilim. They're called Jukrins.
And are they the ones that brought us here?
That's where the word Jew came from.
Right. Are they the ones that brought us here 2,500 to 3,000 years ago?
No, they had nothing to do with us at all. Right. They're the ones that are trying to steal it all. In other words, it's like your third world. Mm-hmm. We call the third world because we're all from different places. Right? Mm-hmm. That's why you call them the third world. And that's why from centuries ago, when they came across the borders, they were called illegal aliens. You see? And this is why we're so different. We're different in structure, we're different in DNA, we're different in our languages. When I mean languages, I'm talking about if you take the brown people, their languages, they haven't got the alphabet that we've got. They have pictures just like the Asians, you see. The Asians are your Japanese, your Vietnamese, they're all the same race of people. It's the same with the brown people. The Egyptians, the Lebanese, the Turks, they're all of the same breed of people, you see. It's the same with the darker race, the black race. When the planet was expanding and growing bigger, they were caught out on various different parts. And the environment changed them slightly different to the environment they had to live in. But other than that, and the languages, their languages, just like the Geordies to the Scots to the Londoners, that changes through time. But again, there was only 4 races on the planet. Now there's 5. There's 5. And the 5th one, or the last ones that arrived here, are the ones that's running the planet now, the ones that's taking over. And this is why they want us. This is why they want to interbreed. They want us to interbreed. They want to mix the races to destroy the cultures. That's what they're doing. And they tell you that. I'll give you the film to prove that that's what they tell you. Not me. They're telling you that. They tell you what they want. They want rid of the whites, especially the whites. And there's a very good reason for that. And it's not what you can possibly think of. And that's the plan. And that's exactly what they're doing now. And they tell you that. I'll give you the film. Make sure people see that film. Because they tell you that. Not me. They're telling you what they're going to do, what their plans are. And it's coming out of their mouth, not mine. So, it's all there. But you see, most people would be afraid to show that film. They'd be terrified. It's the people who stop the people, believers. The people will go, once people have got information that is dangerous, I guarantee they'll back off. They've been doing it for the last 50 years. They're all doing it. They're all backing off. When they get the truth, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to know the truth. They really don't. It upsets their programming, you see. They don't realize that they are programmed because they think because they know what's going on. What's going on is what they have allowed you to know. If it's on YouTube, they allowed you to watch it. They have put it there. They allowed someone to put it there. If they didn't want it there, they'd close it down overnight. So believers, whatever you're looking at, don't think that's somebody's, it's there because they have allowed it to be there. It's as simple as that, mate. Whatever you're looking at, they have allowed it. There's a reason for it. They want you to argue with each other. They want you to get at each other's throats. You see? That's the whole object of the exercise. That's why YouTube's there. That's why we've got this. This is why we're talking to each other. They know we're talking to each other. They know we're spreading the word. We are spreading the word. And that word is fear. That word is fear. Because whatever I tell them, they'll be really crapping their bloody selves. But you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen because there'll always be somebody who would think that their brain is theirs. They really believe it. It's like religious people. They'll go to that grave believing it, no matter how much you convince them that it's not right. In fact, they'll even do some serious damage to you because you're upsetting their programming. It's very, very powerful stuff. Very powerful. It's all around you. You see, look, the only way you can program people in that scale, you've got to be able to take over the media. So it was in the theatres, it was on the radios, then it came in your house. You see, it's been there, it's around everybody 24 hours a day. All you got to do is feed them with the necessary equipment, such as giving them things like, making life better for them, give them mobile phones. They'll go around with whatever you want. Just like the army, you pay them enough, they'll go and kill anybody. They'll go to any country and wipe it out. Once they put that uniform on there, that's it. That's the trigger mechanism, that uniform. That's the Manchurian candidate for the word. See, they can even get you to go out and buy clothes full of bloody holes, rips and everything. All they've got to do is use that magic word, it's fashion, and they will fall for it. Well, it's fashion, I've got to go out and buy it. They'll even write all over their body with tattoos every bloody wear because it's fashion. They'll do anything if it's fashion. They don't realize it's programming. The word fashion is a programmed word to get you to do something that you would normally do. They even had them in the late 60s, man, wearing things called drain pipes. People are struggling to try and get it in these tight pants, and they look ridiculous because they couldn't walk properly. And then later on, they brought the big baggy ones out where they're tripping over each other, tripping over their pants at the bottom, getting their coat on their basic. They're talking about making fools of the people. They're brilliant at it. They're brilliant at it. And they call it fashion. It's the trigger word. It's fashion. Your program. They're going around, we saw them all run about with their bloody tattoos all over the bloody place. Can you imagine when they get a bit older and the skin starts Well, what a horrible bloody mess you're going to find yourselves in. I mean, why the hell anybody wants to put a tattoo on the back that they couldn't see? Stupid things that people do. It's incredible. They'll put big holes in their nose. They'll stick things. Oh, it's just incredible. When they call it fashion, they'll take all the hair off. They'll stick things through their bloody nose. As long as it's fashion. And people
I understand where you're coming from, John, but I do think that you're perhaps not giving people enough.
Of course, I'm not. I'm not going to.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, people are a product of their surroundings. They're a product of their.
Well, that's what I just said. They've just
and so.
I've just said they're programmed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but programmed. A product of their environment is a little bit less programmed. It's sort of like.
It's not what it's programming. Programming means that your environment is being run by certain people in a certain way so that you accept it as your part of your environment. Once that has been accepted, that's a form of programming. Programming just means you're going along, you accept what is being presented to you. That's what programming is.
But the language that you're using, programming sounds like that you're going along with it, and you know that there's another way. Whereas being a product of an environment, you're a victim. It's more of you're more of a victim. These people are victims.
You're a victim because you haven't got the brains to work it out.
But
that's why you're a victim.
Given the brains,
no,
it's not the brains, but given the ways.
No, you're wrong, man.
It's messed up with all sorts of other things.
Well, if that's the case, people are beyond help. Because if they haven't got what you call basic common sense, if they cannot see that that aluminium airplanes cannot go through solid steel girders, then we've got a problem. That's what I've just said to you. If people can't work that out, it's not because it was put there. It's because come on, people should know when something's wrong. If they cannot find that something's wrong, then you've got a real big problem on your hands. Because there's no way I would want to give these creatures any information, because they wouldn't know what to do with it.
So if somebody's being programmed and to
now wait, let's get the word programmed.
All right, okay. So if somebody's been as part of their conditioning has had their ability to critically think about things taken away from them systematically by somebody else or a system, then are they not a victim rather than saying that they're thick, just saying that they're a victim of that system? I think that's more a way that we're going to wake people up. We're going to get people to be able to look at these things critically, rather than the approach where you're saying, "Oh, look, you're just too thick to see it."
Well, the point is, you see, is this. The point I was trying to make before. Once you start proving or saying something that appears to be extreme, the only way you can get people to respond is like the way I've just done it to you. That's why you're responding in the way that you're doing. Do you understand? I've got you to respond that way deliberately. If you ask Tony, I've already put him through this. I can get you to do all sorts of things, and you're not going to believe it. Believe us, I've been trained in it. I can get you to respond in exactly the way I want you to. That's going to be another thing hard for you to take on board. But this is how I get people to take notice. If you call somebody thick, then you get response. You start to get them to take notice. You're getting it to an extreme. That's the only way you're going to get them to wake up. But if you want to go along with them,
if somebody responds because they've been called thick, the response is going to be an emotional response.
It doesn't matter. That's what I want.
An emotional response that makes the intellectual process. It stifles the intellectual process.
No.
So
because
what you're doing is you're putting them on a defensive sort of.
No, you're wrong.
Straight away.
Again, you see, this is what I expected. This is exactly what I expected. When I do a program like that, I understand what the reaction is going to be. I have the formula to turn that around. Do you not understand that yet?
Okay. So, John,
The idea is that I need attention. How I get that attention is irrelevant. It's what I say afterwards that calms them down, that makes them start seeing in the right direction. You've just asked me, can I help? Well, I'll just give you an example how I can help. But like I said, you're always going to get somebody who wants to try, because they don't understand, and they'll never understand because the reason is they don't know what their capabilities are. That's why they don't understand. It's not because they look at something and they can't work out, well, how can that work? I know how it works because I was trained in it. The object of the exercise is to get their attention. How you get that attention would be dependent on the type of person that you're dealing with. Now, because I'm on the radio, I need to see these people individually. You see, this is why the programming you get on TV is a mass thing. It's a vast thing, you see. And this is why they have different programs on TV, because you pick the one that you like, and therefore they can program you on that program because you're a willing party. I can't do that. I'm not in a position to do that. I don't own television programs, you see. So the only way I can, I'm not here to do that. My job is not to try and get the public to change, because I'm never going to be in a position to be able to do that. All I'm telling you is that I am capable of doing it. I'm more than capable of doing it, but I'm never going to be in a position to do it. I'm never going to be in that position. Mainly because of my background. Most people wouldn't want to take advice of somebody who's not educated, or I'm not in any high positions here. You see, so that's one of the biggest downfalls. But they knew that. You see, the elite knew that. Not the elite, the 16 knew that. This is why they could. When I went back to camp once, and I had killed these people, and I nearly made a mistake. And I said, you know what? I nearly made a mistake when I went back to camp. I said, what was that? I says, I nearly stepped up where I had been that day. Oh, he says, tell them. I said, what? No, he says, tell them. Do you think they're going to believe you? They're never going to believe you in a million years. He said, tell them. Tell me you've just been to Egypt and bumped up some Russian scientists. Go on, tell them. Do you think I'll be in the gas house? Well, it's the same thing that's happening now, and the same things now. I can tell people, they're not going to take any notice. Of course they're not. Because who the hell's John Urwin for a start? You see? And again, immediately, I have the answers all right. I know how to handle these scenarios in regards to the mind and program. I know all about it. I know it backwards. I know exactly how it's done. I know how to do it to people. And I know how to get responses when I need to. But at the moment, you see, I'm just throwing things into that big barrel of people that I can't see, right? And I'm going to get all sorts of responses, which I cannot control because I cannot see them individually. And that's where the problem lies, you see. It's like Jason. You know, I was with Jason for a length of time, then I could make him see. You see, this is not making somebody see something that isn't there. You have to prove it. You have to prove it without a shadow of doubt, you see. So that's what this film I'm after. I'm trying to get people to put money into it to get this film rolling, you see. Even if, like I said, Armageddon is on the way, we're in serious trouble, and it's not that far away, believe us. We're months away, not years away. We're months away now. Exactly how many months I wouldn't like to say, but it cannot be. See, look at it. The only reason why you can't give a time or date because we don't know what the hell's going on in the world. Do you understand? I don't know exactly what's going on in America or how the country is actually being run. So we can't give a date. We know it's going to collapse. We know that Europe is already collapsing now, but we can't give dates on it because we don't know exactly what they are doing and what way they're pushing it. You see. We can only use the information that's either coming in by what we hear that's going on in these countries, or what we hear in the newspapers, which most of it's lies anyway. But there's always a reporter who will tell you that it's riots here or something like that. And that's basically what we're going on. And like I say, they're hitting it from every direction. From weather patterns are changing that rapidly now. And like I said, Britain, they're pouring money into Britain now. They're printing money like there's no tomorrow. They had to do that so that the kids close the shipyards and Parsons, all engineering. And what they're doing now is they're keeping the economy going by bringing millions of people in, giving them money, building houses everywhere. That's what's keeping the economy going. You see, but they're printing money. They don't make money in this country. Nissan's got thousands and thousands of cars lying in fields everywhere. They paid so many, I think it was 38 million they were given not so long ago to keep them open. It's all phony, so you can guarantee that this is going to collapse. At what point it's going to collapse, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're up to. We haven't got people in high places that can say, John, this is what I've seen today. If we've got that type of information, we could be more accurate on what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. So what they do is they put false information out there that gives you the impression that something's going to happen next week. And when you see it and it doesn't happen, it makes these people say, oh, look, you're wrong again. And that delays things, you see. It makes people won't trust you because of what you said was going to happen didn't happen. You see? And that's been happening just about every year now. And people like Alex Jones and all them are the guys that feed on that information. They make a fortune out of it, creating a problem. And they tell you, we create the problem and we supply the solution. In other words, they tell you all poison, so if you buy this stuff off us, this special food or these tablets, you're going to be okay. You see? So, but they all do that. They all do that. The trouble is, you see, they think you're part of that as well. There's so much lies and distractions out there. Who do they believe anymore? People don't know who to believe anymore. It's as simple as that. I mean, come on, just have a look at these YouTube films. They're so crazy. It's, remember that guy called Fulford? Was it Fulford or? Remember?
Benjamin Fulford.
Fulford, yeah. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, him and that Japanese guy that sat there with his samurai sword and he's got 3 million ninjas around the world ready to take on the elite. A handful of old age pensioners, which he's trying to convince you that it's only a handful of old age pensioners that's running the world with all a million. But he needs 3 million ninjas, right? This was 6 years ago, and he was going to attack them. He's still attacking them. he's still got these 3 million ninjas running about the world. I know, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Listen to him. He tells you that. That's not me saying it. He's saying it. He tells you, he's sitting there, I've got 3 million ninjas all over the world, ready to pounce on this elite. And they say that's going to be 6 years ago now, at least.
I remember that coming out, yeah. Something Mithrin said in the chat room, and he's saying, is John aware that a lot of us here, the ones that are listening tonight and the ones that are in the chat room, we're almost on the same page with most of what you're saying?
I'm sure they are. But again, they're not in the same part of the country. I don't know what their capabilities are. Again, we need to regroup. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Don't forget, they're listening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're well aware of that, and they quite enjoy.
Sure. I'm just saying. So that's why there's a lot of things you can't say, right? Because don't forget, they're not sitting on the end of something listening to what we're saying. It's worked by certain words and certain phrases that it's recorded. You see, but they're not sitting listening as such. But again, you still have to be very, very careful because know that people like me, when everything starts to fail them, which it will, then I'm the big problem. I'm the big problem because I can show them what to do, what not to do. And you see, once the place is in chaos, then people will wake up when they've got nothing. Say that Russian said, remember that Russian defector. He said the only time you're going to wake the people up is when they're all in prison camps being kicked at the backside. And he's right. He's right. Because as long as people have got a few quid in their hands, as long as they can sit and talk to each other, that's exactly what they'll do. That's exactly what they'll do. They'll talk to each other for months on end, years on end. And that's exactly what they're doing, and that's what they have been doing. They'll be listening to that Dr. David Icke running about the world, trying to tell everybody that they haven't got the freedom of speech. I mean, come on. Then he tries to tell you that we're all exactly the same. You know, and it's amazing how he become a footballer with rheumatoid arthritis, and then suddenly he's an expert on the universe. It's amazing, absolutely amazing.
You said it a little while back there, we need to regroup. But without the knowledge of regroup in what way and do what?
Well, again, you see, you said that there's a lot of people out there who understand what I'm saying. Right? Now, that has to come together somehow. Now do you understand?
So really people need to start meeting offline.
Well, it's like I said, if you go to all these conspiracy places, like UFO conferences and all, that's what they're going to be talking about. They're going to be talking about bloody UFOs, right? Not the state of the country, not the country's going to collapse in a few months' time, not like that. They're all going to be talking about UFOs and have you seen one lately? That's what they're going to be talking about. If you get in touch with David Icke, he's going to be talking about all of this is an illusion, it's just a figment of something. Nobody seems to know what that is neither. In other words, the illusion, how does the illusion know that it's an illusion? But he's got everybody believing in that crap. So all they do is pour on the agony, saying that all the bankers have got the money. Well, we know that. He has to come up with something, you see. So they come up with that the bankers are ruling the world. Of course they are. We know that, but nobody's doing anything about it. He tells you he's been doing this for 25 years. He tells you that. He's never accomplished anything. He's never proved what he tells you. You're lying. You're powerful. So get up. But don't riot. Don't do this. Don't do that. In fact, what he tells you to hide underneath the stairs after you've realised you're lying. He tells you to do nothing. He doesn't give you the answer to anything. He just tries to tell you that you're a god. You see, and the only reason why he's in a position now is because the very people that he worked for put him in that position by getting them on TV. I mean, there's lots of people out there think they're God, but they never end up on TV like he did. You see? So he needed attention, and that's why he called the Queen Elizabeth, and then he was God and things like that. And then he goes away and he goes to the World Cup on by taking ayahuasca, and see, people don't even understand that. When your body is that built and designed to protect you, your natural instincts, your survival instincts. So when you take this ayahuasca, it tastes horrible. To tell you that. It's revolting. But they still take it, and then they take something sweet afterwards to take the taste away from them. The body was telling them then, don't take this. Because what you're going to experience is not what they think they're going to experience. They don't know what it feels like to experience the real thing. What they're going to do is the subconscious brain is going to go haywire. So some people will be a nightmare, some people will be good, good feelings. But again, the body tries to reject it. It tries to spew it up, just like beer. Beer does exactly the same thing. It did until they get programmed and they get their body to accept it after a while. But they're spewing up, they're falling about, they're staggering into cars and go home and bash their way up and still going and they see how good it is and they even buy more of it. They'll buy pens of it. And it's pushed all the time on TV, like in Coronation Street, EastEnders. If you take a full pint off in one go, they'll clap. Oh, isn't he bloody clever? Drinking all that drug. That's going to make him vomit. That's going to make him dizzy, make him fall about. It's attacking his brain. And you're trying to tell me there's people out there with common sense? I don't think so. They even got on, like I said, everything's, they even tell you what it's going to do. You still go and buy it. I was going to say something, but I'd be sitting there smoking.
You were. It's a good job you're not on the Rich Allen show with that David Icke rant that you just did then. Otherwise, you'd probably be at your doorstep now.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. No. You've got to be crazy to be able to do a thing like that. They know exactly, if they can read, that what I did was for real, man. It's not a fairy tale. I'm not, what do you call it, a Casbolt.
James Casbolt, the super soldier, yes.
Yeah, all the other so-called super soldiers who get on the phone asking me for help. Oh, man. I don't know. I must have upset a lot of people, though, I guarantee it.
Well, you certainly upset me anyway, John. So.
Well, the thing is, again, because the evidence is not all there, you'll be able to, the body wants to find loopholes, and it will find them. This is why I want to get this film made in such a way where you cannot find any, where it's not possible to find any, because that's what people do. They look for things that go against their beliefs, and therefore they'll search for it because they can't afford to be, it's an insult to them. Therefore, they have to try and find ways to get back, to try and prove that I wasn't fooled and they couldn't have done that to me, type of thing. So again, the only way, I'm 78 years of age, I've been around the bloody world, I've done things that you never even dream of. And if you think what's in the book is, that's not half the things we did. I mean, it doesn't scratch the bloody surface, man. You can't put things that I did in that book. Not all of it. What's in the book's true. It's exactly the way things did happen, but we did a lot more besides. But I mean, I had trouble with this SES guy, I'm not mentioning his name, when he said, how did you lock this guy in the room and put the keys in his pocket? Because there was only one door in this room, you see. And we saw the opportunity to get out of Cairo without being chased out there, because they're going to find a dead body. So we made it look like suicide. There was only one door in the room, big door. We locked the door, put the bolts in, put the keys in his pocket, put one in the room when we did it. Now, I can just imagine what people will be thinking. It wasn't magic. There's no magic out there, believe us. There's no that kind of magic anyway. No, it was done quite simple. And this SES guy, he said, well, that couldn't have been done, can it? So I sat him in the office. I said, I want you to sit there and hold your hand out. I locked the doors and I put the keys in his hand. And the first thing, when I opened the door, I asked him to open the door from the inside. He says, can I have a cup of tea? I've just saw the impossible. You see? So again, this is the SES, 22 years in the SES as an officer. And and I showed them how it was possible to take all it. Well, when they were talking about Bravo 20, I said, I'm not such a big lie. Everything in that's so bloody ridiculous. I says, when I asked him what the hell they were doing there, and he said, they left us good missiles. I said, that's rubbish. Report my work. I said, I'll be taken out nearly a year prior to that. Well, 6 months prior to that. I said, you don't get dropped off in the middle of the desert, dressed as a British soldier with 155 pounds stuck in your bloody back. For a start, the enemy's going to know you're there because we were taken in by helicopter. But again, everything they said was just a lie. It's ridiculous. When he asked me how I would do it, I said I would have went in by bus. He said, what? I said I would have jumped on a bus and went in by bus. I'm not going to get a helicopter and drop us off in the middle of the desert with 150 pounds on my back, dressed as a British soldier. You're going to be balmy, man. You're not going to last 2 minutes. You're going to be running short of water very, very quick. And if you carry, they have big cans of water. Do you know how far they could carry those big cans of water? You're not going to get very far. And the Michael Asher program proved it anyway. It was a lot of rubbish. But it was the same as the Iranian embassy, the Iranian embassy. He asked us about that. And I showed him pictures. I said, the fact that I can show you pictures of these guys who can't even abseil properly when they're abseiled from the roof. One got caught or got burned, the other one landed on his head, right? And the whole thing was on film on the TV. I said, this is the secret organization, right, who elected cameras take a film in the operation and how it's done. And that's what they call secret. So the enemy knew exactly how they were going to do it. They can't get away with that now. It just never worked in a million years. Because, like I said, if you want all the secrets, just get on YouTube. All the secrets on YouTube. The secret enemy as well.
John, there's something. I mean, I know we've been talking for weeks now, but the last, I don't know, week or 10 days, we haven't spoke much because we've been busy with the birth of our new grandchild and all kinds of other crazy stuff going on. But there's something that's come to my attention in that time, and Mithrid in the chat room has just asked me to ask about it. Have you heard of something called the Mandela effect, John?
The Mandela?
Mandela effect, named after Nelson Mandela.
I understand the word Mandela,
yeah.
Can you explain it?
What it is there's a lot of people when Nelson Mandela, when they announced his death a year or two ago, remembered him dying when he was in jail. There was a friend I was speaking to.
Well, again, you see, okay, there's lots of things that's taking place. Like, for instance, there's a lot of people that have. It's like what I call that guy that's in the wheelchair, the top. What's his name?
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawkins. No, anybody with any sort of basic common sense or of his condition. You know, all the evidence that's there to say that he couldn't have lived anywhere near that length of time. Mm. And then when I've looked at him properly, I can see the differences, that it's not the same guy, right?
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't matter whether it's the same guy or not. Do you understand? It's not going to solve our problems.
No.
It just means that these are the sort of extremes that these people are going to get you to talk about things. You understand? Their way of thinking is completely different nowadays, you see. Uh-huh. Like I said, their basic common sense is totally different to ours. Mm-hmm. Well, they mimic, they do a lot of mimicking. They mimic what we do, our emotions, just like a psychopath would mimic your emotions to get things. They're not stupid. You understand?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but there's some really weird stuff going on around this, and there's several examples. There was a guy online asked 10 questions, and I did this, sat talking to a friend on Skype. We didn't talk to each other, we just wrote our answers down, didn't discuss it, and at the end, I think we both answered 6 questions, and we both got exactly the same answer.
Okay, and what was the questions? What was the answers?
One of the ones that, I mean, you're probably not familiar with the Star Wars films, are you?
Not really.
No. So one of the ones that you probably are more familiar with is, you remember the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Disney made a film out of it.
Yeah.
And in that film, the evil queen looks in the mirror. Have we lost you there, John?
Yes. Well, you haven't lost. I'm sorry. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just the camera's gone off.
Okay.
In the movie, the queen looks at the mirror, and she says something to it and asks it a question. And I'll say what she says, but leave one word blank, and I'll see if you fill in the blank.
Well, I've never actually saw the film, so I mean, I see bits of it.
Right.
When it appears, maybe.
Come on, I'll play.
Go on then. The queen looks in the mirror and she says, "Blank mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest?
Fairest of them all."
Yeah. So
that's in our books. Yeah.
What's the blank?
Well, it's mirror, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, exactly. But now you look at that film and it's changed, and she doesn't say mirror, mirror anymore. She says magic mirror. But it's not just the online films. It's not just the DVDs, the digital stuff. There's quite a few people out there checking, and the actual VHS tapes, which have just been sat in people's cupboards for years, they've changed as well. And there's, there were 10 different examples in that particular thing.
So was
Well, we can need to prove that.
Film. I mean, is the book the same? Does the book say Magic Mirror, or does the book say Mirror Mirror?
I'm not sure on the book of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but I mean, Disney probably changed from the book anyway. But there's a particular children's book in America. I don't believe it's available in this country, called The Berenstain Bears. Now, there's people over a certain age, like maybe over 15 or 20, remember the Berenstain Bears. It was their favourite book. They read it to the children as they were growing up, and it was the Berenstain Bears. Now, the name has suddenly changed to the Berenstain Bears. The E has changed for A. It doesn't really make sense, because that's not really a name. Berenstain would obviously be a kind of...
So what's the object of the exercise, do you think?
Well, what people are finding, they're going and checking their books in the bookcase, and something that they've known all their life has suddenly changed.
Believed. Is that what they believe?
Well, again, it is what they believe, didn't it? If they say
again, say somebody can read something, and they read what they want, their conscious brain.
We were doing this last night, Andy.
Yeah. The conscious brain will pick it up as they want it to be, or as they see it. It's a bit like, the group of people where you've got 5 wearing red shirts, wearing white shirts, and you say, who's handling the ball? The passing the ball to each other the most, you see. But a guy is dressed up as a gorilla, comes waltzing through, and they don't see the gorilla. Nobody sees it, right? Now, it's the same sort of thing with fairy tales. People see a story, and they see it in the way they want to see it. And then when somebody sort of changes it, it's not actually changed at all. It's always probably been that way. Because in real magic, there isn't any real magic as we see it, as we... Do you understand? There's magic in the sense that what we are, who we are, and what makes us, there's that type of magic, if you like. But in real magic, like a human being trying to put a mobile through in a solid steel bottle, solid glass bottle, is absolute rubbish. It's all photography. They couldn't do it before television came out.
I think we were talking about it last night, Andy, weren't we? And the one that for me that sort of like showed was Interview with a Vampire. I could say that in Interview with a Vampire and still be correct whether I believe that it's Interview with a Vampire or Interview with the Vampire.
Well,
it sounds the same. So, and don't forget, your mind will fill things in. It will fill gaps in that it perhaps don't even listen to. It don't hear. It don't understand, or and it'll fill that in as well.
Right, well, the overall thing is they've done exactly what they've set out to do. They've got you talking about it.
Yeah.
Filling the gap in, you see?
Yeah.
It's another distraction. It's another way of getting you to get off the main subjects. It's so easy done. They can do it so easy. Like I said, David Icke is actually, what's his name? The Virgin Aircraft.
Richard Branson, yeah.
He's actually Richard Branson. You not saw that one? That's brilliant. David Icke's actually Richard Branson.
Oh, we've got Chris Spivey on again.
Yeah, and Andy Young is actually Floella Benjamin. Yeah, all right.
Jason Holmes is actually Richie Allen, only I didn't work in the mainstream. I haven't got the largest independent media show in the world that I don't like to brag about, but I keep mentioning every 2 minutes.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's all a great big it's all a great big mishmash, and there's certain things that are designed to get you drawn into, like that, the Mandela effect. I don't believe it's got very much merit, but but it is very interesting nonetheless because
It's
an insight into how your mind works and what your beliefs are.
Again, you've got to look at the object, the exercise, why they're doing it. You know, why do they want you to believe that? Again, you know, what's the real purpose behind it? So don't look at like I said, it's like the Princess Diana thing. It's like the Kelly thing, you know. They're just distractions. One, it works like David Kelly and like JFK, for instance. That's still going on yet. The object, the exercise. If they wanted rid of JFK, they could have got rid of him at any time to make it look like a heart attack, right? They could have got him in 1,000 ways. The object, the exercise was to let the public know, and all of them who's heading for office, if you don't do as you're told, this is what happens to you, and we can do it in broad daylight and get away with it. That was the message. This is what we can do to you. This is how powerful we are. Otherwise, they could have just dropped something in his tea. They could have done it in a million ways. Literally. And I could have done it myself in such a way where it looked as though he's had a heart attack or he's committed suicide. It's dead easy, right? Absolutely easy. And that's what they do. They need you to understand that they're in power. They can do what they like. And they've been proving it month after month, week after week. That's exactly what they're doing now. They're bombing cities. They're killing millions of people. And they get away with it. And all we can talk about somebody's mimicking Mandela. They've got you talking about art. You see, it's just you're just a talking machine to them. They know they can feed you, and you're going to jump on it like a.
Well, we're not jumping on it. What we're doing is we're discussing it because
when I say
entertainment, really, I mean that's what we're doing.
It's an entertainment, but an entertainment is a distraction.
Yeah, of course it's a distraction. Yeah, but we're not like going into it in any great way and thinking that there's some sort of huge global conspiracy involved in this Mandela effect. But it is very interesting, and it's. You know,
the thing is,
Coronation Street. That's
like I say, it's irrelevant what they believe in because they're taking over the world, and you've got everything ready for you. So if people want to keep on doing that and talking about it, let them do it. It's you know, it's their problem if that's the way they want to go. That's why the elite are where they are today. Because of that, then we keep on talking. People don't like that. Like I said, David Icke's been talking about it for 25 years. He's never solved any problems whatsoever. And with this,
he's probably paid his mortgage off. That's a problem. That's not there.
Like I said, you mean to tell me he's been halfway around the bloody world twice, and that's all he's capable of doing? And he's only got what? One was a downstairs flat or something.
Oh yeah, it's little.
And that's his mortgage, is it?
Yeah, little tiny flat.
He's on Isle of Wight or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of kids were found buried, didn't they?
I don't know about that.
There was a massive burial ground there. Children they believed they were tortured and things like that. Yeah, on that island.
I've heard of one on Jersey, but not on the Isle of Wight.
All right, I thought it was Isle of Wight. I mean, I could be wrong. It doesn't matter anyway. Again, these people, they even brag about how long they've been doing this. And they haven't solved any problems really at all, other than make things a lot worse because people are more confused now than they've ever been. It's amazing, man. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but also, I mean, my point of view is as well, it is entertainment, and why should people that have a different...
Well, it doesn't matter. If you want to be entertained, if you want to be entertained, you don't be a snorter, that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not going to be slaughter, am I? Listening to David Icke, am I? I'm going to be slaughter.
No, it's again, you see, look at it. It's got nothing to do with bloody David Icke, man. The David Icke is just taking up your time, while these people are taking over the world. You've seen that, look at these coffins are for real, you know, in America. I've been there, I've seen them. There's millions of them. They're lining you up, man.
You ain't going to slaughter. So if you want to carry on joking and carry it on and trying to work out who Mandela is or whether he died or not, hey, it's okay with me. But believe us, if you want to carry on with the entertainment, hey, doesn't bother me one bit. Doesn't bother me one bit. This is the trouble I'm trying to have. You've got people saying, John, what can we do about it? Well, I can't do anything about it. You're too busy laughing and joking at each other, entertaining each other. You've just answered the question to these people for listening. You're going to make it an entertainment. You've just said it.
Which is entertainment. People are listening to this
That's what I'm saying.
because this is the night time and this is the downtime when they've been working all day and they don't want to get the entertainment that's been fed to them by the crap, so they tune into us. So
that's right. Exactly.
So that was what I'm saying. I mean, if that's...
No, just prove the point, man. You're not saying what you're saying.
Prove what point?
You just proved that you're entertaining people to the point where the world is going the way it is because you're helping them. You just said it. You just said it. When people come in for war, you're going to start filling up bloody heads with nonsense to entertain them. You just said it.
I never said that nonsense. When did I say nonsense?
No, it doesn't matter what
I said things like this.
Things like this. You're entertaining people. You take their minds off what's really going on in the world.
No, I think most of the time, John, we try and draw their minds to what is going on in the world rather than take their minds off it.
No,
it's just that sometimes we find that tough subjects to swallow, like we're all going to die pretty soon, usually go down. Usually better received with a little bit of levity.
Yeah.
You know, we've covered child abuse and paedophiles on this show at great length. It's not a funny subject, but always when we cover that show, there's a little bit of humour introduced because people just can't cope with hearing what's going on without that.
This is the thing. It's a bit like the armchair commandos. They all talk about it, you see, but when they end up, when the crunch comes to crunch, that's when they find out what they are and who they are. Now, if they want to waste their time in not getting prepared or to train for what's about to happen, they will not survive whatever is going to happen or whenever it's going to happen, which we all know that it is because it's already taking place now for the whole of Europe. I mean, Europe is in a mess. You know, in this country, people are pretty lucky so far. I mean, they're not suffering from anything at the moment, but they will be. They're going to have the same problems as Greece. Now, people want to go out there and have a look. Then they'll understand it's coming. Are they going to wait till it's like that? Till it's like these countries that's completely bankrupt and they're in such a state. I mean, you want to have a trip out there, man. Have a trip out there. Don't go to bloody some island somewhere where the sun's shining to, you know, have a trip to Bosnia. It's happening there. It's for real. These people are really suffering. People are dying out there, man. And we're ignoring it. Maybe not directly.
We're not. Look, listen, John. We're not ignoring it, right? But what because we do more to bring the plight of Palestinians. We have Eva Bartlett on recently, a woman that's spent a lot of time, a journalist, spent a lot of time in Syria. We bring these issues up. We bring these issues to people's attention. But what you seem to be doing is, because we're saying also incorporated into that, there has to be some entertainment. It seems that we're now being, you're chastising us for having that entertainment in, whereas if we don't have that entertainment, if we were just constantly on doom and gloom and doom and gloom and doom and gloom, the only people would be...
Well, this doom and gloom is another good way of putting people off. Again, these things are happening. Have you solved any of the problems that's going on in the Lebanon or places like that? Has anything actually happened? As you notice, the Jews have practically taken over that whole area now, and they've just about slaughtered everybody. They've just about slaughtered everybody in the area.
We know, we absolutely know that, and we report on that, and we understand the gravity of it.
I know, but your gravity in the reporting, it's doing nothing.
Well, of course it's not doing anything
Well,
because
what's the point?
we're only a very small operation. But we're even though we're a very small operation, we're still there and we're still trying and we're still doing it just for the love of doing it. And even if just one person listens to this, to anything that we do, and it gets them to actually think for themselves, then I think that we've done something. And incorporating some entertainment into that means that we can then get more people to listen because they're entertained, and then they might hear something that they need to hear.
And do you think it's worked on me? The what we've just done. You see how we got Jason emotionally in the way that he's talking. You see, all of this was planned, Jason. It was planned in a way to get you to talk the way you're talking.
Right, John, we've got not planned by me. I hasten to add.
Yeah, it was. I told Andy that they operate in a certain way,
Yeah.
and the object of the exercises again is we've got a lot of people who want to do something. So what they do is they use what methods they've got, right? Thinking that it might do something. It might bring the attention to some people that are maybe unaware of it. But as you are fully aware that still nothing is actually being done about it, that's not your fault. Nothing is being done about it. Because like I said, best part of the Middle East now has been taken over by the Jews who own the whole bloody lot now, and they've slaughtered, I don't know how many slaughtered, but they've slaughtered, they're still doing it. The next step now is Iran. See, the Syria, the reason why they hit Iraq first was that was in between Syria and Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So when they got in there and they got the fuel they needed and whatever they wanted, then they had to close the back door. So the next step is their military tactics. Now they have to close Syria down, close it completely. When they close that down, then they've got no enemy behind them, then they can move into Iran because they can't afford to have the enemy surrounding them, you see. So the only people that's being surrounded now is Iran, just like Russia is being surrounded now by the United Nations. And it's this is where we've got to try and work out time spans. What's happening in Britain and why it's happening the way it is. They've got to try and make things work out because they need you to do that for them. They need you to go out there and slaughter them. And I don't mean you personally. I'm talking about British soldiers, police, whatever. So they have to manipulate people in such a way, like they're doing now. The British soldiers are out there now doing their beck and call. So the only people you really can get to stop this is the military. We've got to start. People's got to start getting to them, and but you see, the people that run the military now are them. Do you understand? Are the elite.
Mm-hmm.
They're specially picked and they're put there, and therefore the soldier will follow them no matter what. So actually, you've got to get to the soldier somehow, but you're not in a position to do that. You try it by radio stations, but how many people actually are in the military that listen to radio stations? It's a big problem. It's a massive problem. Mm-hmm. And I can see people that want to do something about it, but they're not capable. They get very angry when they find out that what they're doing is still not enough by any means. It's nowhere near enough. And it can frustrate people. And like I say, we've been, for the last 30, 40, 50 years, we've been telling people about what's going on in the Middle East. And it's just got gradually worse and worse and worse each year to the point where they're losing their countries completely. And you can see where we're heading now in Europe. There's racial wars going on everywhere. That's exactly what they want. That's why they brought them here, you see. So, there's another 15 million And they tell you that. That's in the Daily Mail, by the way. Waiting to come across the English Channel. So, they're important, the enemy, because they'll tell you that they want that. They want to separate the people as much as they can. But, see, races like all races, like all creatures, like to have their own environment, and they like to have it their way. That's why, this is what makes them. This is what makes the world tick. That's what makes the world what it is. That's what makes the world interesting. All animals do exactly the same thing. They protect their little environment at any cost. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. And that's what's happening in Germany right in this very moment. And especially Sweden. There's race riots all the time now. But you're not being told about it. Not yet, but you will be. And you're going to be told about all the paedophiles that's in office. That's why Jimmy Savile, when he went, they used that as an excuse to tell you you're in trouble because we've taken over. That's what we're trying to tell you. And they've taken a lot of years to do that. They're very, very clever. They're very, very clever. But now they've got the means to be able to do that. They're in everybody's house. If you say anything against it, your people will arrest you and hit you over the head if you try and stop the elite. So that's your biggest problem, is it's the people who stop the people from getting to the people at the top. Just remember, the people at the top are not people. And that's for real. But you'll get people like telling you things like that, but you had them down as lizards and things like this. But there's got to be a certain amount of extremism in what to say. Really extreme, to the point where people are not going to believe it, you see.
We're coming to the end of the 3 hours, and it's been great of you to join us, John. But there's a question there that Tony posted a few minutes ago in the chat room, and he said, John says we can't do anything about it, yet he wants us to do something about it.
No, I didn't.
I ask again, what does he want us to do?
To do anything.
We are willing.
When I came on your program, the object of the exercise was to be able to get someone who is in a position to be able to do something about it.
Yeah.
Or get this film out, to get in contact with it. That's the object of the exercise. The object of the exercise is the ordinary man in the street. He has got that not all of them, the vast majority of them haven't got that capability to do anything. They're not in a position, financially or otherwise. Do you understand? They're not in government, or it's people we need in government, right, to break away from that, so we can do what they've done over the years. What they've done over the years is they've said what everybody wanted to hear to get themselves in position and gradually move in and then take over. That's what they've done. And it's taken a lot of years to do that. We're not in that position to do that. We haven't got that kind of power, that kind of money, that kind of influence. You see, a lot of it was done by blackmail, putting people in positions where they had to do that as they were told, by sex or money or, debt or whatever. They've tried everything in the book, and it's worked. And they've spent, like I said, the last 40 years doing that. And this is why they're in power. That's why if you look at the British intelligence badge, it's a triangle with the all-seeing eye at the top. They like to tell you that they're in power, really in power. But again, you see, people don't want to hear that, because the first thing that's going to come to mind is, well, what can I do? They really can't do anything. We're only hoping that people that are in a position where we can change things come out of the woodwork and realise that they're in serious danger themselves. Like I said, it's they're going to get rid of as well. They're going to get rid of them, especially them. You see, but I think they might not be aware of that yet, but they should be. They should be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not too much, you see. So unless they start doing something now, well, we're going to have to wait for things get in such a state, in such chaos, right, is when people do really wake up and then in a position to come together, whether they like it or not. I can't make an excuse for I'm working tomorrow because I'm not have a job. And they cannot say, well, I need to do this because I'm not going to have any food. You see, so it has to get to that stage before people come together in vast numbers and then start fighting back. But they have to have a reason. And if they haven't got a reason, well, they won't do it. As long as people have got their cars and their mobile phones and they've got food coming in, they're not going to do anything. They'll want to, they'll talk about it, but nothing will actually really happen. It won't happen at all. But again, the object of the exercise tonight as well is to prove that you can get people angry very, very easily. You can upset people, and there is ways of controlling people, or maybe that's the wrong word, changing that scenario. But I have to be around them when it's got to be one-to-one. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Before you can do that. It's facial expressions, it's body language that I work on when you're trying to get people to really understand and you're really trying to prove things. You have to be near them, you say, because you're what you call, you're deprogramming them. And the only way you can deprogram somebody is because it's going against all our beliefs. And you're going to be saying all the wrong things. The elite say all the right things. They give you the sex, the fun. So therefore, it's taken on board very, very easily, you see. And the subliminal messages are in the background. And that's how they do it. But the problem we've got to tell people bad news. They don't think they want to hear it, you see. And that bad news can be extreme. And they'll use that against you. Or it's doom and gloom. What can I do about it? They're the famous words.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones they use because it is extreme, what you're saying. It is bad news. They feel helpless as though they can't do anything about it, which in most cases they can't. You see, so what we're hoping for is we have no option here. We've got to wait. We have to try and get the people who are in positions to be able to do something about it, who are either financially in a position to do something about it. You see, you've got to have the tools to be able to operate in the right way. The vast majority of people who are listening to your program are not going to be anywhere near that. They're not going to be anywhere near that.
No,
you see? So I'm not criticizing these people because of that.
No.
It's the position they found themselves in, the position they've been put in most cases. And the more time goes on, the worse it's going to get because they're going to find themselves in more debt because things will start to inflate. Inflation will start again. And they'll find themselves in such a position where they'll spend their whole life trying to fight just to stay alive.
Yeah,
to
John.
Keep the house. Yeah.
John, I need to jump on top of you there because jump on top. I need to butt in there because we're coming to the end of the show. With 3 hours is just running out as we speak. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening tonight. I'd like to thank you, John, for joining us tonight and giving us your time. And we'll be back Thursday with Paul Webster, and he's got some new information to reel. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Jason, as well. So,
Cheers.